Let me bring up the thumbnail here so I can see.
We are live Saturday night at the Atheist, new and improved now on Saturday. It's exciting, and it's very standing has an invite because we're going to talk about
strangling
how he
the
dodges his
by claiming
dodge.
Other people are dodging.
Right? Yeah, he did an extreme dodge the other night with David. It was pretty funny.
I wasn't expecting that, but I've come to find out with standing that when you either A, are honest about your answers and say that you don't know, or B, when you do that, because that's what I did to him when I was in Praise's stream. He'd ask me questions. I'm like, well, I can't see the paper that you're looking at. I don't know what it says. I have to know all that stuff before I can comment or speculate. He just didn't really know what to say.
Yeah.
And then when it's a good response, because he did the same thing when he was in his debate with Walker, it was just dodging by claiming the other person is dodging. I would have expected better from him, because that's more of like a Darth Dawkins or a Seitan Bruggencate thing.
Team Spitball.
Team Spitball.
Spewing, spitting, and what was the other one? Slurring. Spewing, spitting, and slurring.
It might be slurring by the end of the stream.
The truth, right. So that's one beer. How many?
Yeah, I told you it's 1 pint, 9 ounces of a 14.6 ABV.
Goddamn, I quit drinking in the wrong century. You know?
You did. Well, and I shouldn't even say anything because I just don't even know if it's appropriate to say it.
Well,
I was just going to ask, like, if you ever did have another beer again, would you end up, like, going off the rails, or would you be able to control yourself?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you ever went off the rails, because I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually
I went off the rails. I would go off the rails so fast and so hard. It would be epic.
Okay.
And the state of Minnesota would be involved. And many, many institutions. I don't just drink to have a few beers.
Yeah, I did want to say to standing.
Fucking party.
Chris Keith last night in LPP stream said I wanted to debate you on the Kalam cosmological argument. I definitely didn't. And Chris told me he was just, he was trying to stir shit up, just for some fun. But what I had told him is that I can't find a theist who's willing to do it. I didn't want to debate LPP either. I actually just want to have just an honest discussion with him.
Yeah,
I don't think that he would be very honest in that discussion, but it doesn't need to be a debate, because if we actually are capable of staying on the topic of physics, I'll need maybe 15 or 20 minutes with LPP before the conversation would be over. And Standing wants to know if you're drinking. Okay, yeah, stout coffee.
It's stout coffee.
The funny thing is, I could probably put this into. I wouldn't say like your generic Folgers or any Folgers, whatever it is, or anything. But with certain coffees, I could probably put a couple shots of this in it. It'd probably taste pretty good.
Probably.
You can intense aromas of charred oak, vanilla, caramel, and smoke, because it was bourbon barrel aged.
Right. I drink about 8 of those, probably.
You would be done after probably 2.
Before
like even in your heyday, two of those,
really?
And
I drank
it's 14.6.
I drank a quart and a half of vodka, and frequently I'd get in my car and go get a pack of cigarettes.
That's kind of fucked up. But hey, you're still here, right? So you did something right.
Did something right. Quit drinking is what I did.
Yeah. How long have you been sober?
14 years.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
14 years on April 1st. April Fool's Day.
Did you invite Odie at all?
I did not.
I'm sure he'll be by. I'm sure
So this coffee I'm drinking, Standing's asking about it. I should throw some espresso in there. No. This is dark Guatemalan, a cup and a half of grounds to about a cup and a half of water. So it's like equal parts coffee grounds and water, fine ground, put in a French press for about 30 minutes. You dying?
Nope, just coffee.
Coughing up my lung.
Did you send an invite to Erica? Because she's in the side chat. I don't know.
I did send her an invite. I sent her an invite I sent everybody invites late, like 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes before 8 or whatever. But I don't know. We had some nice talks with Otangelo. It's just
I
unbelievable.
still want to ask him. The question is that since we have never observed an intelligence create life, therefore intelligence create life sounds like a good argument to you, because that's literally the whole of the irreducible complexity argument. We've never seen an intelligence design this because it can't do it in the lab, Therefore,
So
an
it must be
intelligence designed
design.
this.
Right. I know.
It took me so long to realize that that's essentially the fundamental axiom of the irreducible complexity argument.
I've been talking about this for about 6 months now. That that is
It's just what the fuck. They keep saying, "Oh, we can't do it. We tried for 70 years." Well, yep.
Yeah. We have tried for so long to intelligently create life, and we haven't done it. Therefore, life was intelligently created.
Right.
It just makes me laugh.
Anybody gets out of hand in this live chat, before he's got a wrench. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
I do got to be honest though. Standing for truth, I could trust with a wrench even on my channel. I really could.
PhD programs. Ooh. Right now.
Anyway, mutable.
Hey, what's going on?
Welcome, Immutiny.
Immutiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had fun with Otangelo. I think I tried to bring him down to telling me what leaping logic is, and he didn't seem to have an explanation other than that I just should know. I should just know.
I should know how to make this leap.
Does that surprise anybody at all?
No.
Yeah. So logic. Let me explain logic to you. It has and, or, not, and leap.
And if.
And if. Yeah.
If then.
Implication. So yeah. And leap. Apparently.
Those terms that you just used, terms like and or, they're called a something operator, I'm pretty sure. Is it modal operator? No.
They're binary operators.
There you go, binary operator.
They'd be binary operators, yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
a modal operator, I think, is something like... Is therefore a modal operator? I'd have to look it up again. I can't remember.
No, therefore is an argument structure. It's sort of because
they've got terms for all those words, and I can never remember.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
Well,
look
predicate logic adds an all operator and a sum. So there's sum and all, and that's the backwards e, or the upside down a for all, and the backwards e for sum, or there exists.
Backwards e is exist.
There exists, yeah, and that's predicate logic. Propositional logic is and, or, and not, and you can put it together. I think with and, or, and if they're like, I think any three operators you can generate the other one.
I think
But
so.
it
Yeah.
has four. Implication is for if
There's
a
an XAND and an XOR, and I can't remember what those stand for.
I don't know about XAND, but XOR is exclusive or. That means if it's one or if it's
Well,
one,
then I would assume XAND is exclusive and.
So
there can't be an exclusive and.
X and just means that if P and Q, whatever P and Q, so if you make an argument, if P then Q, it's only true if P and Q are both true.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute, that's an and.
No, and is either if P or it and takes values of P and Q both being true, P being true, but Q being false, or
No, not an and. No, that's an or. P and Q both have to be true for an and. Yes, there is no X and. There is an XOR, but an XOR is XOR is kind of a floofy function that you can derive with just the regular three with and, or, not. So
yeah, X and is let's see.
Let me see.
X and has let's see, if A is 0 and B is 0, it's 1. If A is 0 or B is 1, it's 0. If A is 1 or B is 0, it's 0. And if A is 1 and B is 1, it's 1.
So
I can give a really, really
Why have I never heard
simplified
of
version
this?
of that. The XAND gate stands for exclusive AND, referring to its architecture as a logic gate wherein a positive output is only achieved if both inputs are equal.
That's one. That's an and. Also, if they're both false. So yeah, there is an X and.
Mhm.
Never heard of it.
Never heard
If
of
both
this.
inputs are equal, as in they're both true or they're both false.
I've been working in logic and electronics for
fucking
40
fun.
years, and I've never fucking heard of this.
It's been a while since I've gone through some formal logic terms and stuff. Last thing I read on SCP about it was probably a year and a half or 2 years ago.
No monkey PhDs. You should be a PhD at monkey.
What?
She's trying to find a PhD program.
I'm almost surprised that Tangelo isn't in the live chat already. He's pretty quick to the punch on this.
He might have a headache. Didn't know X and okay. It's basically equals.
There's
Yeah.
XOR and then there's
What the
XNOR,
fuck?
which I'm assuming. What the fuck?
There's
Well,
an
what do we
X
do?
nor. I don't know. Huh?
Stop talking about fucking logic circuits.
Okay. Well, if you want to please Otangelo, you have to talk about logic circuits.
I mean,
Let me
you can't
see.
actually talk about
Boolean.
logic. You have to
Boolean
talk about
logic.
intuition, which is what Otangelo thinks logic is.
Yeah, I get people like Otangelo, like Odie, because that's what I'm calling him now, who literally openly, forthrightly admit they're not very skilled in the realms of math. Logic, I don't want to say it is math, I don't want to be that simplistic about it, but logic and math are very, very closely related.
Oh yeah. Logic is
Especially when you-
math.
Yeah, especially when you get into some more of the advanced areas of logic. Like, there's a reason why Boolean logic can also be called Boolean algebra, or why propositional logic can also be called propositional calculus. Then they have something literally called mathematical logic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, to cap off logic, if you have an and, or, and a not, you can generate everything else, including if, an implication. And I actually forgot how to do that, but it's not parentheses P or not Q. So anyway, enough logic for the day. We don't have Otangelo here, so we don't have to
Yeah,
talk about
we don't have Smokey to rub it in his face.
And
Yep.
Smokey couldn't even understand the mathematical definition of a function. So
Yeah.
No, he couldn't. John Maddox doesn't know what a complex number is.
So
Really?
Joel
Really?
was saying the other night that with predicate logic you can describe everything.
no, you can't. necessarily.
No.
Well,
The-
No,
issue
I
with predicate
wouldn't say
logic
that's
is
true. What's up?
The issue with predicate logic is that it's a binary state of logic, so it only permits for things that are either strictly true or strictly false.
Yeah.
Whereas, in fact, you need foreign.
Well, no, you can say because predicate logic adds that there exists operator, so you can define conditions where something. Well, let me see. I don't know, but I mean it was a pretty bold statement. I don't know.
Isn't that in addition to propositional logic, though?
Yeah, it is. It's added on to propositional logic, so it's
Yeah,
quantifier logic or QL. They call it QL. And nor is like and or would negate it out, but cool. Yeah, so I guess excuse me. I do remember NAND gates. I mean, we did have NAND gates in
Which I believe is just the negation of and.
in
Not the
logical
negation of
circuit.
and. No, I said that wrong. Not the negation of and. The negative of and. Like nor is the negative of
Or
or.
it'd be like it would be like an inverted and output.
Yeah, I did
basically.
want to say, I believe first order logic and propositional logic go, like, I'm not going to say hand in hand, but more side by side before you get to higher order logic. I'm pretty sure they come first.
Poor Erica, she can't find a monkey PhD
I
program.
don't-
Maybe
How
a
many-
given. Maybe what is a given? I'm a primate idiot.
So am
What
I.
up, nerds?
Don't feel-
Yeah, it's a
don't
brain
feel-
bug.
don't feel completely alone with that one.
What's that?
Without what?
I'm not a primatologist either.
I don't know much about them. The phylogeny. I know it's not an orangutan. No orangutans exist.
No, it's an
that is
orangutan.
No, that is a really cool orange drink, which is quite addictive. It's more addictive than orange juice.
I didn't know orange juice was addictive.
It can be,
Oh, fuck yeah.
especially if
Keep
it's
hitting the
freshly
wrong
squeezed.
button.
Especially if you dump a quart of vodka in it.
Screw
Michael,
driver.
Don't.
I know.
Hey, mimosas are good too.
I don't know. I always want, like, every time I fell off the wagon, I always made up my mind. I'm gonna go try all these really cool drinks, and I just drink fucking vodka, or gin, and straight, with because I didn't really like mixing pop with it or water. It was just like, just kind of fucked it up. That's called alcohol abuse.
No.
Yep, alcohol abuse is leaving your glass half full or mixing something with your alcohol. So I don't know.
Where I come from, alcohol abuse was when you didn't finish the last few gulps of beer that were in your can. Which, generally at a party, like if I was at a party, just that last little foamy sip, and I never took that, because that's mainly just foam and backwash. And what you do is those cans, you throw them on the fire, because then the liquid in them helps keep the fire tamed, because there's already been like 3 mattresses thrown on it, God knows how many seed bags. Let me tell you, seed bags burn like a miracle from fucking God. So it all works out. The beer can, all that extra foam and spit backwashy shit, it just kind of cancels out how big the fire gets. It works out. See, rednecks are not as stupid as people think when it comes to like partying and shit and drinking and getting really fucked up.
I'm yet to be convinced of that.
Yeah. Well, I'd always get a thin Kleenex or something digestible, and wipe out the glass and then eat that, so you don't waste anything.
What?
The meter's here.
Wait, eat what now?
Well, when there's a little bit of alcohol left in the glass, you just get a Kleenex and you can soak it up, and then you just eat the Kleenex.
I wouldn't eat the Kleenex. No, it's not enough to do anything.
One time,
what I would do is buy a 1.9 ounce bottle of fucking stout, because it's a stouter day.
One time I had a bunch of Ritalin, and I ate them all, of course. But then I had one last Ritalin, and I had all these beer bottles laying on the floor in my basement where my computer was, out on this farm. And the beer bottles were all dumped over, so there were pools of beer on the floor. And I dropped my last Ritalin in the puddle of beer. And I looked at it for a while, and I thought, okay, I had to estimate how far, because it's extremely soluble in water. So I had to estimate how far it diffused out. And I quickly corralled that little pool out, and separated it from the rest and licked that part up off the cement floor. Stale beer. I am a fucking addict.
Yeah, but how long ago did you do this?
Huh? That was about, let me see, that was 1998.
Okay. So 22 years ago.
You must be desperate.
I was pretty desperate. I ran out of Ritalin. What was I going to do? What could I do?
Junior high. I think Leo probably was in preschool about that time, right?
Yeah.
Was Leo even
junior
born
high?
in 98?
No, I was born in 95.
Yeah, so he was in preschool. I was.
Wait, how fucking old are you? Aren't you like 28, dude?
Oh, I wish. I thank you. You're so sweet.
Wait, you're older than that? How old are you?
37.
What? Oh my god, I would have
I know.
never guessed over 30. I really wouldn't have.
I'm gorgeous, right?
Oh, yeah.
I wish I could be that gorgeous. I think everybody agrees. Brian, yeah, he's that's why he's keeping his camera off. He doesn't want to embarrass the rest of us.
I'm actually
you're hot, man.
I'm a mess right now. I'm like I said in the chat there, I'm a couple of crangrias, and feels like the last couple of times I interacted with Leo on camera, I had a couple of drinks, so
Leo's having a couple of drinks.
I'm having a couple drinks in one bottle.
We're gonna have to mute the fuck out of Leo in a little while. So
Leo needs a handler who can help keep him in line.
I do, but she doesn't know I exist yet. That tiny little English woman.
Clark, yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to.
We see that coming every time.
There is no diversity in your joke structure.
Okay, so it's a lesser ape. It's okay, it just doesn't exist. Oh shit. No PhD of Gibbons.
Yeah,
What's
that would be
a
like
mimosa?
getting a PhD in black holes.
A mimosa is champagne and orange juice.
Ooh, that does sound good.
It is good. We made mimosas a couple weeks back.
You know what the most
brunch.
The most evil thing ever invented was they introduced me to apple teenies in Charlotte, North Carolina. And boy, were they sorry they did. Because you could drink like 10 of those goddamn things and it tastes like candy. And then all of a sudden you can't walk.
That's what these crangrias are like, man. It's
Crangrias.
Yeah, seriously.
That sounds pretty good.
You take red wine, you take cranberry grape juice, and mix them together. It's a little splash of orange juice in there. Freaking fan! Oh, and a white soda. Doesn't matter what, Sierra Mist, Sprite, whatever. Freaking great. Yeah, it's like goes down a little too easy, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hey, Demeter.
Yep.
You're up late. Or you're with us late.
Yep. Hey, Demeter.
Hello.
We're just talking about this and that. I have a little clip from last night's debate on Standing for Truth that I can play for us, where he dodges the ball.
Yeah, he did that numerous times.
Oh my God, that guy.
David, he'd ask a question, and David would just start to, provide a decent, rational answer, and it's, oh, you're tap dancing.
Yeah, well, I got a little piece here. Should I play it?
Sure.
Sure.
Why not? Oh, let's see. I got to get my buttons right.
Oh, and
Okay.
Speed, I got to say, I really do like the way that you're handling your discussion with Otangelo. You all
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
You're going the right direction to kind of break things down. Did you send him the papers? Because that was the end of the discussion. Was basically he was saying, I don't know enough about this to respond, and you said I'll send you. I can provide you all the reading on it, and that's where you kind of ended things.
On Amtor, did I? Did I promise that?
No, you
What's
didn't. I
mTOR?
don't think you promised it. I'm not making that claim. I'm thinking you just said, yeah, I can provide you citations on it.
Oh, I'm not.
So.
What
It
is...
might have been on something else. I better go back and look and make sure because I forgot all about it.
What
mind
is
went-
mTOR?
Well, the mTOR pathway, there's no way to give them a paper on that. That's like 1,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be
I
thousands of
did want to
papers.
say really quick to Erica in the chat, is when she says Max Planck, is she talking about the Max Planck Institute? Because
Yeah,
if so,
probably.
then I don't know why you would go anywhere else.
Oh, wait a minute.
David is here. Does he have the link?
Hey,
I don't know if
David.
he'll join, but...
David has a link.
Okay.
David, you have
There's
the link.
There's a link in the chat.
Yeah, I put a link in chat too. Okay, I'm having some issues.
What are you
With
trying to
what?
share?
I'm trying to share a debate with David Neff. David, you should come in here.
We're talking about your debate, David.
Talking about your debate, man.
Yeah, I don't watch Standing for Truth anymore, so I don't watch anything that features him.
Well, this is really pissing me off.
Well, good.
That debate on his channel is going to be something else.
StreamYard
It'll probably be my only debate on his channel.
When's this debate with Trevor Bailey? I like Trevor. I think he's a fun guy.
Who is that? What?
Dinosaur Denial people.
Oh, the one that's on MDD tonight?
Is it on there tonight?
Is that the one you're talking about?
It might be.
Let me check really quick. Yeah, Trevor. What is it? Trevor Valley
Trevor Valley. Yeah, exactly.
versus Alex Stein. Yeah, it's live right now.
Yeah, we tried to get him on. We have the science. He said he couldn't find a link to the channel, so I was like, "Well, we do it on my channel and on the Atheist channel." He never responded back, and I sent him a link to our PZ Myers interview, but maybe
I want to
maybe he's
debate
just not
this.
interested, which is fine.
Wait, who? Alex or Trevor?
Trevor.
Oh, okay. As I was gonna say, dude, I would like to have a debate with Alex Stein on climate change. Just literally, just kind of a shits and giggles debate, because it would be fucking fun. Just to toy with somebody like that. That's nothing but conspiracy theories.
I mean, creationists are the same way, though, as well.
Well, yeah,
creationism is a conspiracy theory.
literally.
Yeah,
It's unfalsifiable, yet asserted to be true nonetheless.
Right.
Yet they keep trying to put out falsifiable models that are just absolutely fucking insane.
That's just
Actually,
bonkers, mate.
I had a dispute in a live chat with theoretically about conspiracy, what the conspiracy theory means. To me, a conspiracy theory is any claim that is backed without support and supported by its lack of support. You
Yeah,
know,
and the thing with
To me,
creationism. Go
There,
ahead.
there's a component I would add to that, and that is conspiracy theories also tend to play on a central role of the suppression of knowledge or the existence.
Yes.
right? That's kind of what I was. The fact that they're trying to control people saying that this thing is true supports that it's true. It's I don't know what the name of the fallacy is. I had Dave Worley pull it up for me a couple months ago, and now I can't
The
even
biggest
remember.
the biggest reason that creationism is a conspiracy is because they literally posit a conspiracy that the whole of academia is just a bunch of evil Satanists, communist, God-hating liberals, and they're just, coming after God and trying to pull people away from God, so they invented this evolution myth to steal the soul of the world, or
It's
some
so
stupid shit
funny
like
when
that.
you hear somebody conflate communism and liberalism.
Oh,
They
But
do the same thing.
I've literally heard a guy call somebody an evil Marxist, socialist, communist, Democrat, liberal, and I was like, except for maybe the terms Democrat and liberal, all the other terms mean something different.
You
Some
could be a
things are
social-
the same.
You could
but,
be a democratic socialist.
yeah, well, I would say yes, but I would just say that that's just socialism, and the reason is that at least technically, socialism by definition is democratic. I
Right.
feel that what a lot of people mean by democratic socialism is they're either actually just a socialist or they're what's called a social democrat, which would be, structuring the U.S. economy similar to how it is in like Sweden or Norway or Germany, sort of that Nordic capitalist model.
Right.
I think a few people actually understand what is the difference between some kind of social reform or social democracy and socialism is
Right.
is an order. So because I'm coming from those order and I can explain the clear difference and what does it mean in fact, because even Bernie Sanders was not able to defend himself during the debate because they call him socialist, that is going to bring a socialism in America, which is completely untrue. It's false. So the difference between social reform or social democracy and socialism is a huge, enormous.
Exactly.
So imagine socialism. What does it mean? Socialism mean if I'm in socialism system, like previous Soviet Union, for example, I have to take all the possessions of everyone and make it government possession. So
I wouldn't call that socialism. I'd call that statism. To me, socialism is just a democratization of the workplace
Statist
and generally,
communism.
no, I'm talking
and
for
generally an
socialism.
abolishment of the
No.
commodity
I'm
form.
talking for socialism as a order, as an idea. That was socialism that has been already proven to be disaster. And
I tell you what, though, even if you can explain it to them properly, what the difference between democratic socialism, communism, all that stuff, no one in the U.S. is going to listen to you because you have an accent, Demeter. They're going to be like, "Oh, this is a commie."
exactly.
Well, and because you're actually talking like in more than one sentence.
Either you're American or you're a commie.
Right.
If someone say, okay, you're going to bring a socialism in America, that means you have to take the possession of everyone in America, and virtually every person will be left over with some small house and probably a car. That's it, as his possession.
That'd be statism, though, like what Leo was saying. I mean,
Yeah, you can also call it state socialism, where the and Mr. Parker is an actual communist, so he can define that. But being a socialist, I wouldn't be taking everybody's property. What I would be doing is essentially democratizing the work. So the best way that I think we should go about socialism is worker co-ops, where once a company reaches a certain size, it is mandated by the government to democratize, so that every individual employee becomes part part owner of that firm,
A
and
lot of it
thereby
hinges on the
the
difference
roles
between
and the
private and
profits
personal
are more
property.
equitably distributed. What's up?
So a lot of that hinges on the difference between private and personal property is where
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of the
So like
confusion
Walmart is private property, but it isn't personal property. There isn't one person that owns Walmart. It's owned in a very collective manner by its shareholders. And any properties that they may have assets sitting on that could be potentially be rented, that property isn't owned by Walmart. So personal property is the property that an individual owns, whereas private property is property that is not owned by the public, and there is a distinction there. And Icarus, I will never stop listening to Vosh. He's one of the greatest rhetoricians I've ever met, and in my opinion is a very, very popular modern advocate for socialism as socialism was originally defined by Friedrich Engels.
I think Vosh has some good takes on socialism and some.
Your mic is a
things
bit low. We can hear you, but you're a bit low.
Where are you, Mr. Parker?
Huh?
We can't hear you.
I know, my mic's trash. Vosh is really good about some politics. Some of his other takes are kind of hot and a little bit dishonest.
I wouldn't say he's got dishonest takes, but hot takes? Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. But there was this he tried to talk to this other guy, he's not a communist, but like he's like a socialist or whatever on YouTube. And he was watching, like, reviewing his video, and he was not, he wasn't doing so well. He was kind of just attacking the person as an individual, like as a immigrant. It was a little,
Who was this
this
that he was doing this to?
This was, no bad something. Hold on. I've subscribed to him. I can look him up right now.
So are you sure this wasn't the one debate that he had out of probably 50 with like a tanky?
This wasn't a debate. This was a review.
Oh.
The channel name's called Bad and Panda.
Bad and what?
And Panda, like EM Panda.
All one word or not?
Yeah, all one word, bad capitalized, and the E is capitalized. In.
Bad and Panda. Huh. I suppose you don't know the name. I'm just curious to see this video.
Yeah, I saw a clip about it. It was really weird. Cause
was it a response? Was Vosh responding to Bad Empanada's video on Vosh is wrong about Marxist theory on electoral politics from 3 months ago?
Yes, that was the
okay.
one. And Vosh like said something about like, you better be like thankful for me voting for Biden because he's gonna like pull out the troops, and I'm like, he might.
You also have to remember, Vosh is very much hyperbolic, and there's a lot of sarcasm in the things that he says.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I've noticed a lot of people, I'm not going to even say most, but a lot of people sometimes don't always recognize. And yes, the guy has hot takes, 100%. But I like about 95%. I do disagree with him on things, but I like a lot of what he says, and I like the way that he says it.
I've been hyperbolic too. I've tried. It's something I strive not to do, though. I think Bosch could benefit from striving not to be so
100%.
hyperbolic.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, there's a lot of times he's that way, and I'm just like, please just get to the point.
Right, because it sometimes it can make you look incoherent if you're.
Yes, but he's also a part of, I'm not going to say elite, but a part of a different. I mean, he is your textbook streamer. That's the best way I can put it. That's what Vosh is. He's a fucking streamer. He's your textbook streamer.
So, Speed, you got a video pulled up here. It looks like.
Yes, let's dive into this.
Okay.
I think we've done enough politics for the night. And yes, Guts Gibbon is correct. Tankies are just fucking gross.
I'm out of here then. No more politics.
No, you're staying, Mr. Parker.
Here we go.
How long would it take for the biodiversity? How long would it have taken? How long did the Neanderthals actually live for?
Pretty simple question, right?
Yeah.
From the time they first appeared to their extinction.
So by the time they were, let's say, founded by an
Listen, it's a wonderful answer.
early, okay, so let's say the Neanderthals, they started off different. They started off more diverse. Okay. That's why I want to point out, though, that's why, and if you want to dodge it, that's fine. That's why genetic entropy is important.
Who's
because
dodging?
we've lost a lot of genes, okay, since those early biblical patriarchs. That explains why we are a lot different. But let's say Neanderthals, okay, already they're starting off different, being an early branch of man. Early man would have been more diverse. And now the evidence suggests, okay, and when we looked at patriarchal drive, the evidence suggests that they would have picked up a ton of mutations over time for a number of reasons, including the fact that they are the most inbred population. And the Neanderthal, the classic Neanderthal that we know today, the genetics that we have that suggests they're highly, highly inbred and on the verge of extinction, that was the end stage of the Neanderthal. And it makes sense because you pointed out that they were living in a time of cold environmental conditions. And we can see that they were well adapted to those environmental
Has anybody
conditions.
else
But the
noticed
end stage,
problem
let's
yet?
say within 1,000.
Have you heard the answer yet?
No, and he's
Anybody give
monologuing.
the answer? No.
He acts a lot like Darth in the sense that when you ask him a question, what he'll do is he'll just ramble on for a really long time and then try to regain control of the conversation as the person who's on the offense rather than having to be on the defense. So like just like Darth, just like pretty much anybody who's an apologist like these guys, they can't be put
him on the same level as Darth now.
Well, I'm not talking like in terms of his
charitability.
rhetoric. I'm talking in terms of some of the techniques that he uses in discussions like he's doing now. It's literally the same thing that Darth does. You ask him a question, and then they'll ramble on. They won't answer your question, and then they'll start asking you questions again, putting you back on the defense because they can't ever be put on the defense because they don't have a cogent worldview to defend. So he's not the same as Darth, but he employs some of the same tactics in his strategy is what I was trying to say.
In a few seconds here, he accuses David of I'm not going to let you tap dance away, is what he says. And if this isn't fucking tap dancing, he asked him, how long? Okay, first of all, I got standing. I nailed him down on this. And the only time he's come on our channel almost, I mean, he's only been a few times. I nailed him down, and he admitted it was 1,300 years for the entire Neanderthal, basically how they ended up evolving somehow to be Neanderthals and went extinct all in 1,300 years with an ice age thrown in there for a good measure. But in this thing, the question was asked, and then he said they started more diverse, they lost genes, they were the early branch of man. I don't know what the fuck he means by that. They were patriarchal drive, he mentioned, classic Neanderthals end stage, and then he mentioned cold environment, and he's not done yet, and he hasn't answered the question.
Is just, and I'm asking this in all honesty, is at least this patriarchal line, I'm assuming he means the Y chromosome. Is he of the opinion that basically going back to Noah's flood, that Neanderthals were the descendant of a specific son of Noah?
No, what he's saying by patriarchal drive is that if a man breeds like after 40, he's had a lot of cell division, so there are more mutations. So he's claiming that they were somehow, this explains why Neanderthals diverged so much from other human beings, because somehow this patriarchal drive happened to Neanderthals, but not us. Yet they were defective because they were inbred, yet they lived longer than anybody else. And then he say, now what did he mean when he said they were an earlier branch of man? How could they have been an earlier branch of man if everybody came from Babel? And it's Babel, not Babel. If everybody came from Babel, they all came at the same time. How in the fuck did the Neanderthals end up being an earlier branch of man?
Well, wait.
Babel.
Hold on.
What?
Neanderthals are pre-flood, or post-flood, rather, right? According to
Right.
What did you just say?
Post-Babel.
No. Immutable. Did he just say Neanderthal?
Neanderthal.
Neanderthal. Who cares? Leo?
I'm sorry.
Quit drinking.
It's cultural, Leo. It's just cultural.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just messing with
so Neanderthals are, according to his model, are pre-flood, right? Or post-flood, sorry. But wouldn't that also mean that the ancestors of Neanderthals were also pre-human? Like they weren't true humans?
They were Adam and Eve, right?
He said his whole thesis is that they were true humans. They came from Babel,
They then rapidly mutated. They mutated so rapidly that they turned into what looks like a different species. And then they became extremely inbred and homozygous, yet they had many mutations, and somehow they went extinct, all in 1,300 years. So they grew the brow, they grew stockier, they grew bigger, bigger brain.
What kind of mutation rate are you looking at there, though? 1,300 years. That's
that would be pretty fucking high. That would be about probably 100 or 1,000 tons.
That in a side chat of the debate.
Yeah, and he never. I think David asked him that too, and I don't think he ever answered.
It's highly unreasonable, right?
No, David did ask him that directly. He's like, "What would the mutation rate be?" And instead of saying, "Oh, see, you're just dancing,
you're tap dancing,
you're tap dancing around the question."
That's a legitimate question to that claim, though.
Yeah,
that's happened in this time frame. What's the mutation rate on that time frame? That
why
actually follows. That's the next question that you have to ask.
Yeah. And then if you ask him why it was faster, he'll say, "Oh, they were in an ice age." Well, what about the rest of the fucking Europeans? I mean, they were in an ice age, and so they mutated faster because it was cold. Cold causes mutations. Like, he's all over the place. He is just so full of shit on this thing. I can't believe what he did to David last night. It was the nastiest debate I have listened to in a long time.
It was. It really was.
He didn't let David talk, and he kept saying, "Answer my question," and then David would start to talk, and then he would pull up like 5 other fucking things. God, what a dick!
This is why you can't one-on-one Neff on his channel, because they'll bring in, or standing on his channel, because they'll bring in somebody like Neff or somebody like Praise or LPP who isn't gonna do any moderation on standing whatsoever. So you gotta pull these guys to third-party platforms, and if they won't do it, then just hammer them that you're afraid, you're running. Because
hey, Dr. Dan's here.
Doctor, I want to see LPP and Dr. Dan date. A date, Jesus Christ, a debate.
Do you though?
I do. That would be epic. I like watching people who know infinitely more and actually have the credentials that LPP doesn't, because you get to see him just rage the whole time, and it's funny.
The thing is, like with LPP, I can know infinitely less than LPP and still kick his ass.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he straight up said in his after show last night that he will not debate me. Even though I don't want to debate, I just literally want a discussion, like on David's channel, because I know David would be fair both ways. Just a discussion, where mainly I let him ask me questions on physics, and all the questions he asks with an implication that he knows something that I don't, I will completely obliterate by asking him questions in return to demonstrate how little he actually knows about the subject, and I don't even know all that much about the subject.
Yeah, and then there's
genetic entropy. I started looking at Sanford's book again. I had a few. I have tried to read that thing. That is the biggest piece of shit I have ever seen. That guy doesn't know anything.
I'll just keep asking, and it's just like a standing. I asked him what is the unit, the SI unit for entropy. I asked him that like 4 times, and then LPP on the 4th time after like 6 or 7 minutes had passed. So it's joules per Kelvin, and I didn't say it out loud, but in my head I'm like, well, it took you 7 minutes to Google that? Wow. And I know he Googled it, because if he knew it off the top of his head, he'd have said it right away. And he didn't.
Isn't it
he fucking Googled
it? Isn't it joule per mole per Kelvin?
Yeah, I
think so. In certain instances, yes.
It's usually measured in moles, I thought.
Because it usually depends on the concentration of the substance being reacted, because the standard entropy for a substance depends on composition, usually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken.
And so once LPP had defined that, I asked him, I said, great, so Stanley, can you tell me how many joules per Kelvin decrease per, say, generation? Couldn't answer the question. He said, oh, see, now I prefer the term genetic energy generation. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, but the other thing is that to say something is degenerated, is to say it's like deviated from the typical, you need to actually give us like the starting genome to actually compare how exactly that genome has deteriorated over time. Because otherwise, it's just an assertion that you can't ever, be able to test against.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's discrepancies within their model, they can just say, "Oh, but that God wanted it to work that way."
Yep.
Hey,
When you have, go ahead.
Speed, I just dropped in the private chat there a link to a paper that I think you'll really enjoy. So check it
Okay.
out when you got a minute. Sorry, I didn't mean to butt in there. I just pulled that and dropped it for you. Go on, guys.
Oh, cool.
Wait,
I
you're
will
you're
enjoy
leaving?
that. Huh?
Brainbug's not leaving, is he?
No, I'm not leaving.
Okay,
I'm
good,
still hanging
good.
out. You can look at that paper too, Leo. It's about
Is it private chat or YouTube chat? I forgot.
it's
which
in the
one you said.
private chat. I can drop it
Okay.
in
Yeah.
in the public chat too, though. But it's basically about it stems from why diapsids have more versatile Hox genes for their vertebrates, or
Cool.
for their vertebrates, and kind of limitations with synapsids. And it relates to mutations and kind of what we were talking about there earlier, and actually the development of cancer. So really interesting stuff if you got time to look it over.
Oh, by the way, Demeter, I linked those papers in the Arn Raw video. So we'll have, and I did it like within 5 minutes after we hung up today.
Okay,
So let's see how long it takes for PubMed to find our videos.
I'll check it tomorrow.
Okay, it'll be interesting because I can't imagine they scrub everything. I mean, it must take a while to scrub that stuff. But
I want to say hi to Ian Chan real quick. What's up, Ian?
So
I'm
can
surprised
you
David
someone
hasn't popped in.
explain me what does it mean gene entropy? As a molecular biologist, I have never heard that.
I know.
Probably I'm
Yeah,
stupid.
same here. That's actually the first thing I asked as well. Like, what the hell do you mean by entropy in this case?
I'm probably not educated well, or probably it's missing some of
Yeah.
the degree. Something.
Just a PhD.
Maybe I'm off and too old right now, maybe.
Well, you know, if you ask Stanford, you know, or anybody like, you know, Standing who will suck off Stanford, they'll say that you have to be Stanford to understand it because Stanford is the one that developed it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you try and criticize Stanford, you know, you're just wrong because you don't fully understand it, even though Stanford's position has likely changed in trying to adopt his model to be falsifiable over time.
To me, this is just a fancy nothingness.
Yeah.
Just
It's a giant nothing burger.
playing,
Nothing burger.
yeah, playing to look like very intelligent.
What is there to support it? I haven't seen anything anything to support genetic entropy that's substantial besides mutations. But you know, we're starting to understand, you know, how mutations work a lot more regarding, you know, which direction it's going to take a specific lineage. It's not. I don't know.
Well, they talk about near neutral mutations, and they talk about them accumulating. So somehow they accumulate. They feel, and they contribute to the eventual failure of the entire species. So they not only do they accumulate, but they think they fan out through the entire species, and none of it makes any sense. How in the hell do mutations accumulate, and what happens when they do?
Well, there is a so-called molecular clock, and this is a legitimate terminology. So there are lots of regions in the genome which doesn't matter how much you'll mutate it. So you can keep mutation on these regions. For example, Y chromosome, half of the Y chromosome, if you look at, it's not gene containing at all. So in this region, you can have so many mutations accumulated during the time that you can use it as a molecular clock. And we, of course, have a completely legitimate phrase, molecular clock. Of course, when you say that, you're supposed to make somehow this clock to be relative to something in order to use it, right? So, but that's it. That's everything that can come in my mind.
Well, the more confusing aspect of that idea of like near neutral mutations, which isn't an actual term, accumulating, is that these mutations, by definition, if they're neutral or near neutral, wouldn't have a significant effect on protein-protein interaction or like enzymatics at all individually, but somehow when you get like 4 or 5 of these independently occurring, after a few generations, now
Well,
it has an effect on the protein, which is bizarre.
yeah, theoretically, you may have a neutral mutations a lot, which can, during the time, they can, of course, transfer those from generation to generation. And at some point, by translocation events, those regions might go in a significant genome location where the genes are, just by chance, then can play a role. But most of the time, neutral mutation, it's exactly that. So you mutate it, nothing happens. So just they're kind of hidden mutations, meaning no phenotype. That doesn't mean they doesn't.
Wouldn't that type of mutation be not selected for, though? Just
No, there's no selection. Yeah, that's why you can use it as a molecular clock because nothing can eliminate those.
Okay.
And the people has been used that a lot for exactly this purpose, to check how long was splitted some genes or some species based on those neutral mutations. And it's logical, it's okay, it's understandable, and it's simple as that.
Yeah, this idea that it's like rust on a car where more and more accumulates and eventually the fender falls off. Well, those mutations, that's what Standing says over and over. Those mutations would happen, they have to all happen to one gene, and there would be a point where that gene no longer worked. And if that gene was vital, then that organism would die out and that particular whole branch would die out.
Yeah, that's what I meant by selection.
Let me explain exactly what is happening. You cannot have just accumulation of neutral mutation and for example, the species to collapse because of this. Simply because those neutral mutations are not in a region which is important.
Right.
Now, here is example, very clear example. And remember, guys, this example when you debate. Vitamin C gene in a vitamin C, which actually it's a mutated in the human genome. It's not functional. So it's very simple. At the moment, you can see the vitamin C gene responsible for synthesis of vitamin C, but it's not functional. Simply, it's trash. Why? Because the diet, human diet, overcomes this necessity of the gene. That's why it's mutated and lost function. But this is a specific case where this particular gene no longer is important for survival.
Yeah.
So
Isn't
the
there a
same
name for that
example
gene?
for
I
the
think-
vitamin C.
I believe it's the, if I'm not mistaken, it's the GULO gene. It's responsible.
That's what I was thinking of.
It's responsible for normally it's responsible for the synthesis of ascorbic acid, which doesn't.
Ascorbic acid, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that pathway doesn't occur in mammals.
Did you say ascorbic? Ascorbic? I didn't catch
Ascorbic.
that.
Ascorbic.
Ascorbic?
Yeah,
Ascorbic.
Corbic.
Ascorbic.
Ascorbic.
Also, I can
Ascorbic.
give you another example. There is a cave fish. They are small fish, which doesn't actually, they don't have functional eyes. The eyes, they are pretty much blind. But of course, there is an eye bulb and everything like that. But cave fish simply does not have functional eye. It's a closed, it's blind. And why is that? The same thing. So those fish, long time ago, before they enter in the cave, they was of course with eyes, and the eye was very well functional. and important for survival. But once they start to survive in the cave, now the eye are no longer a selective marker. And during the time, you have overcome mutation after mutation after mutation in this region, and there is no selection. And after all, they became not functional. So this is another example of this particular case. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tooth enamel genes in mammals. That's a spectacular example, because all toothless mammals still retain tooth enamel genes, and even mammals that have teeth but no tooth has no way of automatically weeding out redundant material. But a designer would naturally have weeded stuff out unless they're dumb.
Thank you, RG. Nice to see you.
Yep.
Well, in a general point too, it doesn't make sense if you have an intelligent designer to keep
Yeah.
genes that are broken just not doing, and that aren't working.
Anything.
Whereas in evolution, I mean, DNA repair is a very messy process, and it's a lot to ask for those molecular machines to simply delete one gene specifically, because various coding regions and recognition sites for genes are very, very present in the genome, and there's a very high chance that you could have an error being performed during that process.
Yeah,
And
but the most bizarre thing is you can find the gene. It's just not functional. You can find it. It's there.
yeah, and you would think that it's not a very not very good to keep around. But it seems that the reason evolution keeps it is that it's easier to have it around and just not work. And
There's just been no reason for it to get rid of it. It's not hurting.
It's clear the
anything being
designer
there.
wants us to believe in evolution.
I know. I mean, this does raise an interesting question, and it goes on a different rabbit hole. Like, for instance, let's say, like, once CRISPR is a perfected technology, we do choose to repair the gulo gene, and that gene is now, functional and can be passed down in humans. It does make you wonder, like, for phylogeny or for humans, if somebody were to find that and try to compare the phylogeny, how would that look? Because that's one of the characteristics for our own particular form of life.
Now you have proof for intelligent designer.
The orange
There we
juice
go.
industry ain't gonna like that.
Nah, they're not going to.
You gave Erica wrench powers.
Uh-oh.
What did you do?
Yeah.
This is madness.
I still want a ratchet, not a wrench.
I have a
The,
wrench.
the ID argument is an inevitable philosophical one, because they can't.
I can't what?
RJ?
RJ? Hello?
I lost him.
Did
His
he-
internet's kind of.
I didn't know if he froze or if he took.
I'm
a
kind of
pause.
lagging behind there. The design argument
Oh,
can't
awesome.
stand the idea of imperfection.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's by Pony Express. Remember, StreamYard is evil. But the design movement and young clumsy designer that puts all sort of weird crap into the system is not one they really like. So they pretty much have been forced into all DNA is functional. There is no such thing as any junk genes or pseudogenes, and they're backed into a corner on this, and they ain't ever going to get off it.
Yeah. I agree.
I can give you my favorite example for weird design because I'm coming from the field of DNA replication. So
Oh, I thought you were going to say the platypus, which I would have agreed upon entirely.
yeah, this is so good example. So in fact, if you look, the DNA replication happen in 2 directions, 5' to 3' and from 3' to 5' direction. It's happened, so you have a melting point in the middle of DNA, and now you have replication in both directions, right? Everybody can imagine that. However, there is no 3', 5' polymerases ever in existence haven't been found those. I mean, how simple is that? You make two types of polymerases, 5' to 3' and 3' to 5', and everything perfectly smoothly will be replicated. Yes, but no. So in order to overcome this problem for lacking of 3', 5' polymerase, there is additional probably around 20 different enzymes which are involved just to overcome this problem. See what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an alphabetic.
You can extend that ultimately to the fine-tuning argument, which tries to contend that the physical constants of the universe are precisely aligned and all that. And what they forget is that that's supposedly the designer of the constants to begin with. So what options do they have to adjust things? Why do you make a thing and then have another thing to deal with it? Why do you make a parasite that feeds on an organism? Why do you have dangerous viruses and all the rest? And so that benign designer argument starts falling apart the more you think about that. So if you want a cottage industry, just look around to see the kind of rationalizations that anti-evolutionists use to get around those explanations. Well, there must be a good, nice reason why there's such things.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's really interesting because there's been, I believe, an algorithm that was developed in order to kind of make the process of predicting protein folding structures like a lot easier, just given a sequence of amino acids or a DNA sequence that can be interpreted and ciphered into a string of amino acids. And the beauty of that is once you can theoretically predict the structure of these proteins that are contained within the genome, it's not long after that till you're able to actually determine what those proteins do, if they do anything at all.
Oh, we are using that constantly, all the time. So novel gene, if you find a novel protein, first thing you can see is just to dissect the domain structure of the protein. And once you have this domain structure, you start to guess what is the function of this protein. And very frequently, you can have a pretty good nail it down what exactly is doing. Of course, almighty experiment finally have the final word, but that's absolutely legitimate approach.
Yeah, it is, and that's because there's certain domains within proteins that are known to have certain activity.
Yeah, I'm also real fond. I'm real fond of paleogenomics. That field is just getting more and more active, of the reconstruction of ancestral biology and ancestral molecules based upon evolutionary thinking. There's literally no counterpart of that in anti-evolution because they don't accept that there can never be that. For all their love of common design, they never really pay attention to the fact, why is it that evolutionists are able to work out earlier versions of stuff experimentally and they can't?
That's a good point.
The thing is, like with paleogenomics, unless I'm just very ignorant of the field or not very well read in it, is it seems like it'd be theoretical at best, because wouldn't DNA degrade before you'd have time to actually...
No, they're not getting ancient DNA.
Okay, I was like...
They're not getting ancient DNA. They're taking two organisms that are closely related, and or maybe not closely related, that
like
have
what you were
biology that's now
the
diverged. And what they do is work out what the ancestral form of that biology needed to be in order to arrive at the two versions that you have now. Then they will reconstruct that and test it out in the organism and find out that it has dual functions or ancestral functions that not quite like what you find in the living organism. So it's directly reconstructing past biology. The same thing was done with bird beaks, where they tease back what are the mutations that cause an archosaur snout, a dinosaur snout, to turn into a bird beak, and then experimentally recreate it in living birds.
Yeah, and that's where the field of embryology is really exciting. as we get further and further into that. Right now, we have about maybe a half dozen basically classic organisms that we're studying, but we're getting to the point, we need to get to the point where we turn it into a computer modeling program and we start looking at how certain things can develop. And then we can project back and find a common ancestor, at the base of that tree between two extant organisms. And that is really exciting.
Are you talking like Evo Devo?
Right. That's what I'm really, really focusing on right now when I'm not distracted by these asshole creationists, is embryology, because it is the most exciting thing to see how modifying these fields can result in different structures. And we're probably about maybe 20 years away from being able to do this, but I said we were like 40 years away from folding proteins, and I think we cracked that one the other day. So,
is there any, are there
just
any
follow all of the gangs circulating around Neil Shubin. That type of work is the cutting edge.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's
cool. I want to say that that PZ Myers is.
They're doing the same.
He's getting ready to start a series on Evo Devo that looks like it's going to be pretty good.
So. PZ Myers might do a class next spring, and I'm hoping to take it. I've got his textbook. He might do it online, so that I can take it remotely, because it's about 200 miles from me.
Right now, he's doing everything. All his classes remote, from what I understand.
Yeah, he's hoping to do this embryology class again next spring. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that.
Are there any formal textbooks written specifically?
Ooh, and what is another area in paleo reconstructions that's about ready? The latest area in geology, they're able now to image plate subduction slabs of ancient subduction events way deep down in the ground, miles, 10s, 20, 30 more miles down, and how it's compacted up. That's going to be revolutionizing, working out the effects of plate collisions that you can't see the effects of much on the surface because they've already been subducted.
Wow.
Were you asking for textbooks?
The old coastline of North America involved a plate collision area during the Paleozoic.
Yeah. My question earlier was about: are there any textbooks written particularly on evolutionary developmental biology?
Oh, there are on embryology, but
and they got Haeckel's drawings in them, and they're all fake and debunked and frauds.
Yeah. Any really cutting edge area won't have hit the textbook level yet. It's still in the technical paper stage, so it won't have steeped long enough to filter down to the old near retirement scientist writing the textbook.
That's why we're in a digital era when you can get them fresh, the information fresh when it comes in by looking at the primary research.
Yeah, except for sometimes the primary research, even for people that are like semi-educated in the field, it's extremely hard to understand some of the technical experiments that can be done with it.
Right. Yeah. I guess if you want to keep up, you gotta
well, and it's such a broad area.
Right.
Yeah.
I cover in my research. There's at least 2,000 journals that are in my data field, and it's physically impossible to monitor every one of those bloody things. You have to kind of come at it from topics that you encounter along the way. So even using Google searches and that won't necessarily hit relevant information. It still involves networking with current researchers, finding out who they are, and then gradually building up to where now they're acting as triggers for revealing their latest work and sharing it with their networks.
Yeah, luckily, if you have review articles are a very good place to start with any field, and typically, like with sources cited, it's usually most authors of papers have a Google Scholar page where you can, if you're interested in their particular research, you can usually find their research that way. Is Google Scholar looks it out.
I always kind of keep my eyeball on cutting edges the creationists often are very useful in pointing to the question marks. So you always want to keep them in front of you as to whether anybody has resolved the question mark, just like Sal bringing up isomerases. It's very deep in the replication system, and we don't yet know how it originated. HOX genes, proto-HOX, which is eventually going to be a paleogenomic issue. And you know what I bet will be the test area for working out proto-HOXs? It'll be trying to figure out why the Ediacara biota looked the way they did, and did they have some counterpart of the homeobox system?
Yeah.
And the answer is most likely yes.
Yep.
Is my mic working?
Isn't
fine?
science fun?
It
Yeah,
is.
we can hear you. It's still quiet though, a little bit.
God, I spent like
No, it's
5
better.
minutes
It's
trying
better.
to fix this.
It's a little better. Yeah, it's about 40% better.
I doubled my volume on this program.
If we all talk really soft, you'll sound all right.
Yeah.
We just
No.
We'll just match your level. How's that sound?
Okay.
It's gonna be
Sound
impossible
like
for me to
Hal
match your level.
9000.
yeah,
My mic was like $60, and this is what I get out of it. I can't set it up.
What?
That way.
What kind did you buy?
I brought a podcast microphone. It's cool and all, but like I don't know how to set it up, and I'm trying to fix the mic settings for it.
I bought one of those toners. They're like $40, but I had a Blue Yeti, and James and Modern Day Debate said it wasn't loud enough. I had a hell of a time with it. Then I bought a Rode, and that's what I got now. But I bought this toner, and I lay it sitting in a box. I tried looking.
Heard of the Blue Yeti? It sounds good. You couldn't get your good sound out of it.
No,
Speed probably
for
didn't
some
know what he
reason
was
the
doing.
volume wasn't there.
No, Speed probably just didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Just like
As
me.
always.
Leo, you're fucking. I'm bouncing, Leo. Is that
thought it was
snake?
snake.
Oh no, we have a snake.
I just say, as a general rule, though, anybody that wants to kind of keep up
Cuts out.
can
but
just
okay.
follow proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences every week, and take a peek at Science and Nature every week, and especially their open access stuff, Science Advances, and whatever the one that Nature has. Those are handy because they're, by definition, relating to established but still cutting edge science. And if there's any big controversies going on, it's going to pick up one way or another with competing commentary pieces at those things. So it's a really handy way of doing it without having to follow every bloody journal that exists.
National Academy of Science, was that the? I don't think I followed
Publications, PNAS.
Them.
Let's see. Proceedings, I guess, would be where I
Yeah,
want to go.
PNAS, PNAS.org can be open access.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
PNAS.
Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. You've got the Royal Society and stuff, but a lot of that is still behind firewalls. But PNAS becomes automatically open access after a year, and big chunks of cutting edge papers are often open access at the time they're first published. So for freebie people who don't want to spend a lot of money, PNAS is like go-to.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I've got actually a lot of really good studies from them.
Let's see. Can you search? Let's see.
You
Can
can
you limit
probably
it?
get
Okay, good.
3/4 of the stuff in Science and Nature somewhere if you look hard. But it's not at their website unless you subscribe. And who the hell wants to pay the money for a subscription to Science and Nature?
$999 a year or something like that.
They have a
No.
login, but they don't have a create account.
Let's see. Natural hybrid silica protein superstructure.
Yeah, I'm able to get almost all the technical papers that I need from somewhere because the scientists will post them. Or don't give up the obvious. Email the author if you have a desperate need for a particular science paper that isn't available. Email the author; they'll probably send you the PDF.
Yeah, usually if you email them, they're not too they're not too anal about that.
I've gotten papers that way. Reaching out directly.
I have
Mostly ecology papers, though. So
Yeah, that's how I got the Southon paper that blew Andrew Snelling's diamond carbon to smithereens.
When the hell do you set up an account on this?
Ironically, the hardest thing to get are scholarly things in history, because an awful lot of that isn't even online. Science material is much more accessible than trying to find the ins and outs of translations of Hebrew texts in first century Palestine.
Oh, open access.
well, a lot of that stuff's still housed in like hard copy in libraries, isn't it? Historical stuff.
I cannot find out how to create an account. It only has a login.
And there have been a few wild examples. There was an obscure geology journal that John Woodmarap misrepresented that turned out to be open access. They had the archives of it at my university. My jaw dropped, the paper, because I was able to see the original. So if you aren't a student in a university, get on a good terms with the various libraries at the universities, because they'll give you access to things. You can often find a hard copy material and make PDF versions of it and email them to yourself at no cost. There's a variety of ways that even when you're not a student there, you can still make use of those resources.
I think you have to subscribe to PNAS. It's $235, I'm assuming, per year for an individual.
$235.
Oh well, no, that you, but don't. After a year, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, all content is free after a year. You can just download the PDF.
Actually, their web even better. Their website says all PNAS
So if any article in there, probably a quarter of their papers are open access. Well, in some journals, it varies from journal to journal. But at any rate, PNAS, if you're patient, just wait until the year has gone by, and you can get the PDF.
Just wait, yeah. Just wait.
Patience. Mm-hmm. No, I'm like a kid in a candy store on the level of research that's available. When I think of how much trouble it was finding primary source material when I was starting out in the 1990s, where none of this was online. PNAS only didn't come online until I think late 1980s, and it was very limited. Virtually none of the journals were available that way. And now, yikes, it's just happy. And that means that source analysis of creationists and ideologues is just a really easier thing to do now than it was even 10 or 15 years ago.
Shit, that's not the app I was trying to open.
Geez.
I had to go out to the Gonzaga University Library and hunt up Nature magazine, because the public library didn't carry Nature. And then I would have to make photocopies at 5 cents a pop for the pages of those. I mean, that adds up.
Yeah, I used to do that at the U of M. If you donate like $100 a year, you can use any U of M resources, but the papers you have to photocopy. You can't leave with them. So
isn't this the biggest problem in academia across the board? Is that how much it costs to keep up with things?
Yeah,
part of the contributing to the rampant ignorance of the general population is the lack of access to this up-to-date and most accurate information.
Yeah, that's a major problem. Most of science.
Yeah, and that's why by networking. Yeah, that's quite true. You find the scientist is too busy doing their work, and the people even doing college teaching are presenting their material. They have a tunnel vision element. They're not always necessarily personable. And then the idea that the general public out there needs to be brought into that. You then have a relatively small number of like public figures like Neil deGrasse Tyson and others who bring things up, but they tend to be specialists in fields. So Tyson can tell you about cosmology, but he's not as knowledgeable when it comes to biological information. And what is useful for people at this level is that we're kind of like the foot soldiers of interacting with people on social media. But the idea is that you need to have grounding in the good method and the sources so that you're not simply repeating what a secondary source says, that you can bring in that primary source material and do it with confidence because you understand it yourself. You can explain it easily. Always be able to explain technical work to an outsider. If you can't explain it to somebody, then you don't understand it. And that's always a dead giveaway of somebody that's just repeating the jargon like SFT does. Stanford.
What I will say is this much is that secondary sources such as like review articles, for instance, people should be able to read those and comprehend those with a minimal understanding of the topic going in. But as it concerns primary source, sorry.
Oh, nice.
Can you guys
annual reviews are a perfectly good benchmark. If you can read through an annual review of a physics thing or annual review of genetics, an awful lot of that isn't necessarily open access, but you'll probably be able to find most of the articles posted somewhere, academia, edu, websites, and so forth. Those are beautiful because they're by definition giving a summary of the current state of the art. And they're filled with the technical literature that if you want to follow up, they're already doing that legwork for you. And it's way above that kind of science news or even Scientific American level that's operating at a very generic point. So those are a good route to take in, the annual reviews.
Yeah,
right.
Annual reviews are very good. I just want to say really quick, Mr. Parker, yes, we did hear you, but you're still quiet. Go ahead.
Highly recommend annual reviews.
Yeah, and what I was going to say on top of that is that even though I have a BA in chemistry, I can genuinely say, like reading some of the articles, I would probably understand less than like 1% of all like primary literature written in chemistry.
Is your degree in just like generic chemistry or like biochemistry or organic
chemistry? With a focus in biochemistry.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of?
Go ahead.
Have you heard of this website? I found.
Yeah, never be intimidated by it. Every discipline is knee deep in specialized jargon, and some people can use the specialized jargon as a way of delineating the persons that know the secret handshakes, but. The genuine scientists will be using, and scholars in any field are using the jargon because they're a shorthand for precise ideas. And you can find out what it is. You can Google what the words are. You can find out Wikipedia, for heaven's sakes, will give background information on almost everything you can find out whether a word that sounds almost the same as something else actually means something very, very different. You got to avoid confusing those. You pop that occurs in paleontology all the time. Try working through ant systematics. My God, the names of the taxa in there are often so very similar that you can easily get confused if you don't pay attention. Uh-oh, a Y instead of an I. Got it. Okay.
Hey.
I like Wikipedia a lot. Actually, I think Wikipedia is a good
Mr.
place
Parker
to go
was
to.
Mr. Parker was trying to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a.
Well, get a better mic.
To Wikipedia.
Well. Say it louder, Mr.
If you
Parker.
go to Wikipedia, you can actually find references to good sources for things. Instead of citing Wikipedia, cite who Wikipedia cites.
It's not a destination, but it's a great doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Wikipedia is a great launching pad for people that, if they find something really interesting, go check out the sources that Wikipedia cites, and and see what the sources they're saying actually are reporting.
It'll instantly measure how cutting edge something is.
Guys, I said,
Odds
Mr.
are
Parker.
that really new. taxa that have just been discovered won't have much of a Wikipedia listing.
Okay. I'm not in control. I said Mr. Parker wanted to say something, and you guys just fucking blew him off. What? Say something,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Parker.
So
Speak loudly.
I,
Like me when I'm angry.
Shut the fuck up,
I
Leo.
We're
I
bad.
can't be that loud.
You're on,
I
Parker.
use this website where you can basically put in any paper you find, like with a block on it with like a paid to.
If it's the thing that we're thinking of, don't say it on air.
Yeah, we don't talk
Okay.
about that. Nobody
Wait,
talks
what?
about that.
Wait, hold on. What are we talking about?
Nobody talks about Fight Club.
The first rule of
no
Fight Club
idea.
is we're talking about Fight Club.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
talking about.
I have
It doesn't.
no
It doesn't
clue.
exist. We have not had this conversation.
Okay.
We do not know. I am officially unaware of whatever is being divulged here.
And my email is not speedofsoundofgravity at gmail.com.
Besides,
Joke is
the
made.
end tag constantly changes.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, I mean, if you wanted to email me, wouldn't be able to email me
The main
at
rule
speed
to
of sound
follow
of gravity.
all scholarship.
Go ahead.
The main rule of any scholarship is to find the critical piece of information that's being discussed and whether they're relying on a primary source to do it. And if they are, you want to find that source. Because if they're reliable, it's going to ring true when you read the original material. And if they have their head up their ass, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb the moment you start reading the original material.
And that's the thing, too. It's like with Otangelo, it's kind of a special case. Because I don't know if RJ has dealt with Otangelo before, if you guys have actually had a one-on-one.
Oh, my God.
What Otangelo does is he's officially created like this horrible-looking...
A bit,
like,
yeah.
This horrible-looking blog thing where he actually will cite like the scientific sources. But it's quite obvious that he hasn't read any of them. Because...
the conclusions don't match.
Exactly, they don't.
It's not just that, but he's like mostly reading from the abstract of the paper, which that's enormously depressing because if you're just reading the abstract of a paper, you're not actually getting anything from the paper because the purpose of an abstract or an introduction to a paper is to outline like the historical significance of the problem, to introduce, kind of like the methodology for the research that's being performed, and to also kind of give, to preface in saying what kind of experimentation was being done to solve whatever problem is needed to be solved.
I see creationists a lot. They'll quote from the abstract, and it'll be like, "We don't know how to do this," but then the rest of the paper explains how to do it.
Sorry, say that again, RJ.
Yeah, this is very common behavior in secondary source addicts. Now, Otangelo, the one area that always puzzles me about Otangelo is he coming up with this crap on his own, or is he scavenging some creationist website that has alluded to all of this stuff? And I would, from my experience with Otangelo, probably 3/4 of what he throws at people, he's picked up from Evolution News and Answers in Genesis and others who have already brought these topics up apologetically, and he's just mimicking them.
Discovery Institute is a big one. That's a big one, the Discovery Institute. Nationally, it's either creation.com or creation.org.
Well, that is literally intelligent design.
Yeah. Discovery is nothing but I call them idiots.
The AIG and ICR are the primary venues, and CMI, that's the kissing cousin of Answers in Genesis after they had their divorce. So you've got the three main blocks. Then you have the little side people. There's a huge churning. A lot of the same names show up floating around the Young Earth Creationist venue. Then when you move over to Intelligent Design, that's the Discovery Institute. There's only about active fact claimants in Intelligent Design. All of them are the main people who post at Evolution News. So you're looking at the entire Intelligent Design movement there. And then you move over into Old Earth Creationist, Fazal Rana's stuff, and that's a blip. The Old Earth Creationism is virtually extinct as a player on the field.
I think Snake was going to say something there a minute ago. Snake, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just saying, a lot of times I'll see quotes that creationists pull, like almost exclusively from the abstract, and it'll be a review of what they're going to study, and they'll be like, "We don't know how to do this yet," and then the rest of the paper will explain, "We did this in this
Right.
experiment," but they'll just
Yep.
put, they didn't
Yep.
read the paper.
They scroll through looking for buzzwords that they think they can pull
Yeah,
out
anything that
context
says
so that
unsolved
they can
problem
try to run
or-
their narrative, and it's really, really, really dishonest, and it
I know
just
a
shows you
grifter who
that they're
does
not
that.
reading it. And the thing with technical papers that I want to say really quickly is, and I'm sure that RJ and Immutable and Snake, because he's in school for this too, and anybody that's actually like done Demeter as well, I forgot he was in here, he's the PhD, is that you can't just read rarely can even a professional read a technical paper one time and be like, yes, I 100% understand this.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. That's not how it works. And that's all these guys do, is they
Yeah.
might skim through it, and if they ever actually solidly read it, it was only ever once.
I can genuinely say, because I did
Yeah,
undergraduate
they're, and
research.
they're looking for ammo. Ammo trawling is the primary behavior.
Big time.
Yeah, I can tell you, because as an undergraduate, I did do undergraduate research. I never published, but when you do presentations, like at a symposium or whatever, I mean, you have to, make sources for your claims and a bibliography and all this other stuff. But I can genuinely tell you, because you need to make sure you understand these sources as well as the professionals and people that are critiquing you at a symposium do. And I can genuinely say, for like a paper that's of modest length, for like 7-8 pages long, it would easily take me like 5 or 6 days to fully understand what that paper is doing, like dissecting the methodology, dissecting, the results, the actual experimental issue, and just kind of becoming familiar enough to understand and to kind of mentally acclimate myself to be able to understand the information cogently enough in a way that I could present it, number one, to a lay audience, but also be able to present it to and defend my own research that draws upon it to professional.
Exactly.
I want to mention something very important, guys. I mean, you can read, you can go, you can look for information, but what is the most important thing is the having correct and right question.
Yes.
If you have a question which is correct question, good question, you'll find a way. You'll find a way the information. That's the most important in science, having a good question. Because half of the science is having a question, not solving the problem. If you have a good question, you might have correct answer. But if you have a dumb question, almost never you'll have a good answer.
Yep.
I think part of it,
all of us have experienced bumping into anti-evolutionists is that they are only looking for ammunition to confirm what the answer they want to be. And that's as far as their brain goes.
Yeah, I think it's even more severe than that, though. I mean, I think what they want, like what Otangelo wants, and I think he'll even confess this, is that he wants an explanation of like abiogenesis that's like 5 sentences or less. That can be, summed up in a child's picture book and just, extremely simple to comprehend and to,
As complex as his apologetics are, though, are you sure about that?
That's origins of us.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it is. I got to figure out what to say so somebody else go.
He overcomplicates it to make it so you couldn't ever clear everything that he says up or clarify everything.
The thing with Odie is that, and that's what I've been calling Otangelo for short now, Odie, O-T-I-E, just calling him Odie, his arguments are literally nothing but irreducible complexity. This is complex from the top to the bottom, therefore it was intelligently designed. And as I was saying right when the stream started, the fundamental axiom of any creationist worldview ultimately is we've never observed an intelligence design this, therefore it's intelligently designed.
Well, and there's a fundamental aspect of irreducible complexity that you know that just is wrong, and it's exceptionally disingenuous to try and postulate that. And that is that if you think about a protein, and I think about proteins because I like proteins, is that if you have some biological entity with some function currently, irreducible complexity assumes that that function must have been the function of that protein or biological agent throughout the course of its evolutionary, throughout the course of essentially all eternity. But that's not entirely correct. Like, there are some genes that were originally developed and their protein product was originally conceived of because of a very specific environment, and it had a very specific role. But over time, as generations reproduce and as new species begin to develop and the environment those species lives in changes.
FOXP2 gene is a perfectly fine example.
Yeah,
it's involved in language usage, but it's not a language gene. It's a standard mammal gene that occurs broadly, and it doesn't do anything languagey if you're in a mouse.
Yeah, and I mean that's the interesting thing part about natural selection is that it takes genes that already exist, but it expresses them in different contexts. It expresses them based upon and effectively the function of a protein can be changed based upon various pressures that are placed on the organism.
I can give you one simple.
And you'll notice that the
Go ahead, Arthur.
The anti-evolutionists will be focusing totally on the question mark zones. Tangelo doesn't discuss
God of the
all of the vast amount of biology that relates to all of those co-options and spandrels and the like. Instead, he's jumping back to whatever it is his apologetic literature has said, well, we don't know how that originated yet, ergo, boop, you got to figure that out. Well, pay attention to the rest of it first.
Yeah, that's like I said, God of the gaps. It's we don't know, therefore it was God magic. That's literally it. Why do you think that creationists only ever argue from the gaps in human knowledge, like the origins of life, like the origins of the universe, and things like that? Those are the strong points of religious apologetics, because that's where we know the least. That's where there's the biggest gap to insert your God.
Tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain
Origins are
that.
bust.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me explain just a little bit from my experience with the creationists. So there is actually a smart creationist as well. For example, maybe 6 years ago, I still remember that I was debating, of course, by chatting, by texting, actually, not chatting, with a creationist called Gneiss. And she was quite smart, actually. And I spent a lot of time to figure it out why and what is the actual creationist in her creationist point of view, since she was completely acknowledged evolution. So it happened to be that she was kind of a rare type of creationist that she thinks that evolution is a fact, but at some corner, ID comes and push us in direction. So, and this is the moment where at the same time you have to have multiple mutations in the right direction to happen, and then will evolve in a specific direction designed, and after that it continued just by simple evolution. I mean, the classical evolution. So it took me a while to figure it out what is going on there. However, her argument was there is no new species because you have to mutate at the same time simultaneously several correct mutations to put in the same direction. And I said, okay, that's quite smart to say it, but it's also not correct. This is not the model. And what is my example was, you know, the gecko?
Yeah,
gecko. So there's two types of geckos. One type with eyelid geckos, and another actually licking the eye with the tongue. Can you picture that?
That's
That's
okay.
That's interesting.
I'm gonna have a hard time sleeping tonight, but okay.
So
And the third kind that does advertising for insurance companies.
exactly, but there's two types of geckos. So one it's constantly licking with the tongue. It's licking the eye because need to keep it wet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's a very famous. I mean, you can Google it, you'll figure it out. So, and I asked her, come on, why there is such a lizard in existence? Why this lizard did not develop some kind of specific gland that will lubricate the lubricate the eye and so on? And she was not able to answer. That's the principle of evolution. The evolution is using actually what is in existence, already what you have. That's what is using. This gecko simply they got a tongue. So, and
Right.
that's what they have. That's what they use. Simple as that. So very frequently the smart creationists present the wrong models.
And Demeter, the creationist that you were bumping into had a really common problem in anti-evolution spectrum, and going all the way back into Darwin's time, is they really can't figure out in their own heads what it means to have a speciation event in a population. They just can't wrap their
I
heads
think
around
so,
it.
yes.
And
Yes.
even though young Earth creationism requires gigantic speciation events to fit their post-flood time, anti-evolutionists, even at the grassroots level, whether they're young Earth creationists or IDers, just don't think about that. And intelligent designers literally never think about it. There's not a single example I know of in the intelligent design literature where they ever say, even the ones who accept speciation theoretically, like Michael Denton and Michael Behe, but you can never see them apply it to anything, ever.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that's been the constant push against creationism so far, is actually give us a model that we can test. Give us something that we can experimentally, put pen to paper with, get it in a lab, and see if there's anything to there.
Yeah, but how do you test for magic? That's the problem with ID.
Just make
It's
a maybe.
it's magic. It's literally magic. It's some all-powerful wizard and that
Well,
it's external
let
to
me-
our
let me
reality.
play devil's
Did
advocate
some
here,
stuff
Leo.
in it.
Play.
Go ahead.
I'll play
RJ,
devil's
the-
advocate here, Leo. In principle, the irreducible complexity argument is a valid one if you can figure out in such detail that you can absolutely preclude a natural evolutionary origin for something. The problem is none of the examples that Behe offered really qualified for that. And
100%.
that there is the snag, because ultimately it turns into a God of the gaps argument. But in principle,
Yeah.
theoretically, you could show in the same way that we know that a perpetual motion machine is impossible in principle. So anybody who thinks they have one has made a mistake somewhere. But we haven't reached that level of precision in biology for them to slip in their irreducible complexity argument successfully. It's basically well, you haven't figured it out yet for this case, but nothing for else. Like the Krebs cycle, that's been worked out.
Yeah. I actually had a paper, read a paper from that just this year, from I think October or November, that talked about what was it? What was the name of the paper? Like an alkaline-free or alkaline metal-free potential step to something like that, and it was just a very interesting paper. I actually cited that in my debate on Agree to Disagree with Otangelo, and he never mentioned the Krebs cycle for the rest of that debate. But about the intelligent design thing, I would state that technically speaking, you could probably demonstrate that there is some way to do it, and we obviously know that. I would say we know it's not true, but there could be a way to show that it might be. But what I would say is that all that shows is that life was intelligently designed. And I would say that a more likely explanation for who that intelligent designer is some extraterrestrial species that is using Earth as an experiment or something like that. I don't think it gets you to a god, certainly, personally. That's just my opinion, though.
The short answer is they were having vacation and they just forgot to pull out.
Okay, RG, let me explain something here about the irreducible complexity. Think about that. Every cell, I mean, we know that very well from molecular biology field. So you can figure it out which genes are so-called essential genes. There is a set of essential genes which is known, meaning you can figure it out which one are those. And there are approximately 2,000 genes, are essential genes, which mean you cannot remove it. So irreducible complexity by definition is something that you cannot reduce it, right? You cannot remove any gene. You cannot. In fact, from about 30,000 genes, only 2,000 genes are not removable. They're essential. And most of those genes are so-called housekeeping genes. And now guess what? All of those genes are very conservative as well, because they are very important. And because of very conservative, you can trace it down back by phylogeny to the very ancient species, meaning to the more lower level of organization. So here it's directly proof for not existing of irreducible complexity.
I just wanted to say really quickly, the paper that I was talking about is called "A Plausible Metal-Free Ancestral Analog of the Krebs Cycle Composed Entirely of Alpha Keto Acids," and it was from 10/22/2020.
Can you post that one?
Yes, I can. Yep, I cited verbatim from this paper
I'll want to check to
on
make
the
sure I
Krebs
got
cycle.
that in my reference bibliography.
Yeah, I have it from Nature. That's I tried to find actually with Snake last night. I think I tried to find a paper on it that was open access that wasn't behind a paywall, and I couldn't find one.
Let's see. This is from Springsteen's stuff. Oh, okay. I thought this would have been from Cronin, perhaps, because Cronin is really big into inorganic.
Mm-hmm.
Comments. Let's see. I'll post it in regular.
Notice how when somebody like us is
And
asked for links,
you're the
it takes less
evolutionist
than
that's
5
immediately
seconds to
jumping
post
back,
it.
back to the origin of life.
Yeah, I mean,
to get them onto any turf more recent than that.
Yeah, I mean, the really fun thing about this all is that you can agree with Otangelo or any creationist on any point that, on basically all points. But the issue fundamentally is that they can't, the types of arguments they're using, the apologetic method that's being used, can't get you to the type of solution that you're trying to extract from it. And it's just an unfortunate issue. Because even if I were to have like ID arguments, it'd be a matter of, okay, well, now I have
I think RJ has about a 1 minute delay.
I don't think it's 1 minute. I think it's closer to 5 or 6 seconds, maybe 7.
Yeah.
It's like pulling teeth.
Is he buffering for anybody or just me?
Yeah, he's buffering.
A bit of roboting.
Yeah, he's buffering.
You're buffering pretty bad, RJ.
I did want to say right now, also I found in the associated content section, a prebiotic metabolism gets a boost from 22nd of October 2020. I'm going to post that in there just in case anybody is interested in that as well. That looked to be pretty interesting. It's not too long either.
Yeah, interestingly, I did learn that, I believe, oh god, what is the guy's name? I swear to God. Speed,
Which one?
A few days ago, the water paradox, basketball paradox stuff. Steven
Right.
Banner, that's right. So Otangelo very often quotes a paper from Steven Banner, which is essentially just going through some of the current issues that appear in prebiotic chemistry, such as the fact that if you wish to synthesize something like ribose, you must be able to do it in an environment that's non-aqueous, because as soon as ribose is formed, it'll be susceptible to hydrolysis reactions that'll break it free and cause it to revert back into in non-cyclic form, and various other things. But curiously, this is the exact topic of most of Benner's research, in addition to trying to find prebiotic mechanisms for how you can convert nucleotide derivatives into nucleotides. So as an example, there are substances that are not quite nucleotides, so they use like silicon oxides or there's another one as well, but boral oxides, for instance. And since those are very common because they're very abundant in the Earth's crust, there's interest in how you can get those types of similar inorganic compounds to convert into the natural versions we know of, so ATP or whatever the other nucleotide you're considering.
Is that your version of a cat, Brian?
Yeah.
What was that?
It's not a cat.
Stick bug.
Oh,
Stick bug.
Asian giant mantises.
Oh.
Let's see if they'll dance. You want to dance? Sometimes they will. No,
Wow.
not interested.
What do you know about Lepidoptery?
Lepidoptery.
Which ones?
Oh,
Butterflies. I
standing-
only know it's butterfly science,
Well,
essentially.
it's butterflies and moths, but yeah.
Okay.
What do you want to know about them?
No, I was just I wanted to see if you knew that word. I figured you did.
Yeah.
I was just kind of being kind of smart ass.
Isn't there a lot of diversity like within chromosome number in Lepidoptera? Like some of them vary from like I think it's like 30 to 240 or something like that.
No, that's a better question.
Yeah, well, I think that it's more in Lepidopterans. It's probably a pretty high number, but I think the numbers would be higher in Caloptera, like beetles. Now, Hymenoptera is pretty actually kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to insects. And eusocial insects in general seem to have less genetic diversity, which is kind of peculiar considering that the reproductive processes they use by doing the queen's prenuptial flight and all that stuff, where they spread out essentially ritualistically. They on an annual cycle, the queens will disperse into the wilderness, and one would expect to see a little more diversity than what we see, but I guess there's probably a lot of overlap too.
Yeah, probably. I've always thought insects are cool, but I don't want to do like entomology.
Oh, I absolutely love. There isn't a hell of a lot on insect anatomy, actually. I've been trying to find out. If you have any recommendations on really, really in-depth books on insect anatomy, I would love to see that.
Well, did you ever look at that paper I sent you with the about the wing development in Caloptera?
Yeah. But I mean, kind of like I would like to know. I'd like a really good book on Drosophila anatomy, so that I knew the entire insect, from as much as we know. And it's really hard to find information on insect anatomy online, even.
Just general insect anatomy.
Just really detailed insect anatomy. I mean, I want to know all the membranes and all the basically something super technical. Like I would love a 600-page on just Drosophila.
Well,
and there's got to be one.
And those are probably the most lab studied clade that you're gonna find is fruit flies. So definitely worth looking into. Flies in general are good for studying genes because of the way they reproduce so quickly. I'm sorry, what?
Wow!
Somebody said that's immutable.
That's immutable.
It is
his bubble. Yeah, your bubble is. Yeah, it's you.
Am I bubbling?
What?
Dude, your audio went. I got more in this headphone than I do in this one. That's a little
wonky.
Let me put back.
Ooh.
What did you do, Immunity?
I don't know.
There you go.
Went full
You're back.
reverb on us.
You're
Stop
back.
asking
That
me
was
about
really.
You never go full reverb.
Are we
Never.
auto-tuned now?
That was weird. That was.
You're
really
going to be in a
weird.
few minutes. Watch.
Just fucking mute this son of a bitch. Where is it? I can't mute him. Why is that?
Let me do one
You
better
know,
for
he's
you.
immutable.
Let me do you one better.
Whee, whee, whee.
God damn it. fucking immutable.
Fucking immutable.
So
The guy that
give
looked
people
at your
mod
channel
powers.
for like 2 fucking weeks.
Oh, you're never gonna let me forget that, are you?
No, I'm not.
No.
You gave me a way to leverage against you, and I'm fuck if I let that go.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh my god! I just checked my homepage on YouTube. Praise is live right now. Math proves God and an open mic battle.
Oh, really?
Math proves God. No. Early when I came into his stream on, that was either Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, they were talking
Can't
about
remember
descriptive and
Yeah.
prescriptive.
And I like me and Gavin were kind of having a bit of a back and forth, and I was succinctly explaining the point. Math pig, get your bitch ass in here. And I was succinctly explaining my point. He kept literally just repeating the same things, and I called him out on that. And then everybody wanted to switch the topic. That happened to me numerous times in that stream. The topic got switched. Like, oh shit, I put the link in the side chat for Math Pig, except I didn't put it in your side chat. I just put it in praises.
Oh.
Oops. Well, maybe we'll get some
Thank you,
people here.
Leo.
eh?
Great.
The link for you mean
well.
the link for Praise's stream?
No, the link for this stream I put in praises.
Put the link for this stream into praises.
Oh,
Every
nice.
channel has to-
Because I
every
was trying to
channel
put the
has to
link.
have at least- Every channel has to have at least one klutz, and we found ours.
And
Fuck you guys.
I think you're blocked over there. I don't see the link.
No, I'm not. Maybe I am. I don't know.
I don't see the link. I don't
Do you
see
have
anything.
do you? Well, that's because I'm not a mod, so you probably don't see the link.
Oh, okay.
Math pig, get in here.
Here, I still got to put the link in the right.
We were
section.
in a hangout before this. He said he had to go, so I come to
Leo, you don't want me in there. Oh, okay.
Who said that? Who said it?
Math big.
Oh, that's too bad.
Oh, come on, Math Big. Can't be that bad.
Path Mig, Math Magic Pagan. Get your butt in here, Math Magic Pagan.
Don't
Come on,
push it,
Math Magic
Leo.
Pagan.
Don't push it, Leo.
Not pushing anything. I just like to see Math Magic Pagan. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Math Magic Bacon.
What's that?
Math, and then he'd shorten it to Math Bacon.
Math Bacon.
Oh,
I guess RJ's not coming back, huh?
yeah. So did RJ just did his connection go, or did he get frustrated?
Yeah, he said in the private chat that he said StreamYard's getting dicey for me here.
Yeah,
It's getting dicey.
He has.
I don't know what kind of a connection he's got. It's pretty. God, it must be delivered by the Pony Express.
You gotta.
That's his joke that he made there when he first popped in.
Yeah.
too. That
We
delay.
gotta get him some better internet service.
Yeah. By the
Right.
way, DNA does not break down with water. I mean, DNA
No,
is like
RNA
immersed
Wait.
in water.
Are you trying to tell me Matt Powell would lie to me?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, the guy did discover that, the people in the Civil War hunted and killed the pterodactyl.
Yeah, exactly.
There was pics, man. There were pics, bro.
We have surfing monkeys in this new movie. Now I am going to be reviewing,
Yeah.
now I'm going to be reviewing that with Ethan on the 19th. I know everybody
Ethan
else
who?
has already reviewed
Spartan
it.
Theology, Ethan?
No,
or-
Ethan, who's in the movie. Your friendly neighborhood atheist. He's the guy in the movie
Oh,
that
yeah, I know. Yeah,
that they
yeah.
make. That he's the Nakasuchi of this movie, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be sitting down with him. So we're gonna talk about some of the claims that are made there, especially the stuff about rafting. The objection to the species dispersion via rafting is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's well understood. It happens today. It
Yeah.
happens every year when we have hurricanes. green iguanas and stuff wash up on the southern coast of the United States on rafts. It's not a weird concept. Possums wash up on the in Louisiana.
You ever been by the Mississippi? I know Brian has, because the same thing happens with fucking raccoons.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, it's only the Mississippi, but still.
It's there's a big portion of it. He's just derisively mocking the idea of rafting dispersal, and it's ridiculous. Mainly about how New World monkeys got across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
He of course he takes some refuge in absurdity by claiming that they surfed here. In the movie, he said, I call it a movie loosely. He says that in evolution, and I think it's Raw Matt that he has actually saying that too, that the monkeys surfed across the Atlantic. I don't think that there's ever been an argument. It'd be awesome if they did, but I think that they probably just kind of survived something like a mouse lemur that was able to go into kind of a torpor sleep, could easily make that type of journey, and it was a lot closer at the time. When did New World primates get here? Was it the Miocene? Is Erica still in the chat? She'll know.
So Math Pig asked, Ethan, who is Ethan anyway?
He just told you.
Your friendly neighborhood atheist.
Okay, that's Ethan. So
Yes.
somebody he shafted you in what way? No, he rafted you. You're talking about rafting or shafting. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he.
It's Math Pig being Math Pig, Math Magic.
Oh,
Pagan.
I don't know. He's being.
He's being
yeah.
Math Magic Pagan.
No,
Okay.
we're talking about being rafting or primates rafting across the Atlantic is what we were talking about. Yeah,
Not shafting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shafting.
never mind. Oh,
Shafting
he
is
pulled,
across the
Completely different
ocean.
game.
he pulled an Emily Latella. If
Yeah.
anybody gets that reference,
So if Brian's gonna set the precedent, I guess I'll shill a little bit too. I'm thinking it will be the new year. I have a debate with Chris Keith on David Neff's channel on his DNA a code. That's probably gonna be a pretty easy one. It'll be a pretty good one too, because Chris Keith is actually fairly decent to have a conversation with. Pretty damn decent to have a conversation with. Also, I'm thinking maybe tomorrow, but probably not. I'll bet it'll be Monday. I'm going to be doing a live response to Braxton Hunter's 10 questions for atheists. I've seen like maybe 2 minutes of the of that clip, and I don't want to watch it before I do the stream, because I feel that it's more natural and more genuine to answer the questions right there. It shows if somebody's capable of thinking on their feet and how well they can do it. So that'll be a fun stream. And yes, that will be live streamed.
Okay,
Also, I do
wanna-
have a question for Brian.
No, I want to plug my channel first. What's coming up? We have Saturday Night at the
Unsubscribe.
Atheist tonight.
Unsubscribe.
We have Saturday Night at the
Unsubscribe.
Atheist tonight at 8 p.m. If anybody wants to come in. And I'm starting to get chest pains, and I have 195 subscribers, and I really want to live long enough to see 200.
I'm only 4 behind you.
And the old ticker is just
So
starting to
close.
fibrillate. So
I just had we did my 300 sub thing today.
did you?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
And I tagged you in it on Twitter. I know you don't get out there much, but that's
No, I don't. Twitter is fuck Twitter. You see what I did the other day? Somehow I invited a whole bunch of people to our OBS or Slob's channel for Math Pig. I thought I was like following people, and I was on my iPhone. Turns out I was like inviting my niece and a bunch of other people to our little group. They don't. You guys don't want me on Twitter, man. It's fucking dangerous.
No, but Brainbug, I got a question, and I don't know if you'll know it with the particular application I'm going to mention, but you might have an idea of how I could go about it. How would, if I'm like using Google Meet, or even if I'm using something like Zoom, how do you pull the camera like out of Zoom on OBS to get it into whatever box you want on the screen? How do you do that?
That's what that group that you're in, that group, right? The Twitter group with about Dave's script. Yeah, with that, did you all not go over that when you and Robbie were?
I don't use StreamYard.
Okay. I don't know what are you using to capture
I would like
for
to.
your...
I would like to use Google Meet, but right now I'm just using straight through OBS, just capture webcam.
Yeah, so I use Dave's script. I don't know how you do it any other way.
Okay. There is somebody
me.
I can talk to who uses Google Meet, who might be able to tell me how to do that.
Yeah.
Prebiotic metabolism gets a boost. I got that one. What the fuck? Did you post that twice?
Post
What
what
the hell?
twice?
There are 2 articles. You posted 2
No,
articles?
the second one should be different. It should be prebiotic metabolism gets a boost.
Okay, that's the second one.
There was something else that I wanted to post there because I thought you guys might be interested in it while we were talking about metabolisms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna take your.
I think in general for origin of life studies, what's understood is the chemistry to produce the materials. I think currently though it's going to be a matter of trying to understand which of the conflicting theories, be it RNA world, peptide world, RNA peptide world, lipid world, metabolism first, how those systems are able to be evolved, and if certain theories can account for essential features such as how the genetic code is produced.
Can I explain? Or I cannot explain.
Oh, go ahead.
So that's why basically I wrote the third paper exactly to point this particular question that you asked. So if you think about, it doesn't matter how you're going to assemble and what you think about origin of life. What is most important is the moment that you have information-based system capable of evolution, Darwinian evolution. So think about that. Which theory, which hypothesis, it's very close to that point. If you don't have that moment, you don't have origin of life, basically. So,
Right.
And it's so clear. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. I mean, it matters, of course, but the goal here is to have somehow to figure it out how this system come to be. So, and I'm not thinking for the different hypotheses as alternatives, because the different hypotheses have a different distance, or let me say different ability to come to this point. To me, what is important is to come to the moment of information dependent selection, or called Darwinian evolution. So if you don't come to that moment, you don't have theory of origin of life. So let's go, for example, so-called metabolism first hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
There is a misunderstanding here in terms of, I actually was, okay. Once I reviewed the paper, there was a paper about metabolism first, how first nitrogen world was, but after that phosphor world was, something like that. And in the review, I told them, to me, that's not metabolism first. Because to me, once you say metabolism, it is something like a chemistry, but organized by already existence of the life, already existed life form. This is my understanding of metabolism. However, the scientists which are advocating for metabolism first, those scientists, they said everything that resembles as a chemistry or something which is life chemistry, we can call it metabolism. See the difference? So,
Yeah.
and metabolism first, very frequently they said, okay, there is a Krebs cycle, for example, somehow first started to be the Krebs cycle. You have all of the chemistry there and production of some primitive form of ATP or something like that due to the proton gradient. And Nick Lane is one of the guys which is advocates this type of hypothesis. And usually those hypotheses are linked with deep thermal vents. So, but to what extent information might come from this particular hypothesis? So this is the question for metabolism first hypothesis. It's not competing at all. I mean, I don't see how, based on this hypothesis, you can make it live because of this metabolism. You can make some kind of precursors. You can make some sort of environmental conditions based on a metabolic type of reactions, but this is not life. So, and that's very important to note. And a few people actually can figure it out. I mean, not figure it out, but pay attention. To pay attention in this very simple detail. That's why the third paper that I wrote is absolutely directly nailed down to do what is important when you're looking for origin of life. So this is for the metabolism first hypothesis. The second one is the RNA world hypothesis, which is the most famous one. And for this, I have a huge problem with this hypothesis as well. Very briefly, I will say a few things about it. There is a problem. So the RNA world hypothesis can explain only very well the formation of natural ribozymes. And that's fine. However, all of the rest as a steps, which is important, like origin of the genetic code, the transition from RNA system entirely based on RNA to the RNA protein system is very controversial. It's very difficult to explain this transition. It's also called polymer transition. RNA world is extremely incapable to explain origin of genetic code. So, and as I discussed this morning with Leo about the self-replication problem. Just briefly, you can say self-replication for cells. Cells could self-replicate, of course. You can say some self-replication of the system, which contains RNA, proteins, and so on. You can say that it's okay. However, once you come to the point that you want to say self-replication of RNA by RNA, then we stuck to the problem. Why? Because RNA-dependent RNA ribozyme, which actually is capable to replicate itself only in the RNA level, has been created in laboratory conditions. Yes, it existed. However, if you try to chop it down and make it smaller, it doesn't work. Meaning you have to have this full setup of probably 140 nucleotides, or a little bit less, in order to function as a ribozyme that is capable to self-replicate itself. Those kinds of ribozymes are never been found in the nature. And that's make it problematic because if something is very important in the very beginning of life, if it's super important, it will stay important later on as well.
Well, to briefly respond to that point really quickly,
Yeah.
could you not argue that even though it's important in the very early origins of life, as you get more energy for a system to be able to experiment in a computational and chemical space, it runs into something that's more efficient, and so it has no longer a reason to use the precursor.
More efficient, yes, but not from the different nature more efficient. For example, think about RNA and DNA. We have enough evidence to say that RNA was came first, and then DNA. Good number of evidence for that. So RNA occurred first, and after that DNA. But RNA did not disappear. RNA just take a specific niche of functions, and DNA took a function for preserving the information more better because chemically is more stable DNA. So it's very difficult to make new system out of when the previous system is eliminated completely.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you may have more efficient system, but not from new nature, not from completely de novo organization. Let me give you another example. The ribosome. Ribosome is one of the most efficient and powerful, or let me say, widely enzyme ever been. I mean, it is super humongous. The ribosome is a ribozyme by itself because this peptidyl-transferase center is the ribozyme by itself. There is no proteins there in the actual peptidyl PTC center. But you see, this became more complicated and functioned very well and became more functional, upgrading and upgrading. But still, this is the same initial ribozyme that started the life at the beginning. So, therefore, once you're looking for something, you don't look for something completely alien for the current biology. You should look for something which is still resemble the current processes. So that's about, and there is a political moment as well, unfortunately, again. And let me say something which everybody should know. The political moment is that the funding for Origin of Life, it's very weak. It's not much. At the moment, probably there is approximately maybe 5, 6 big laboratories in the entire world that actually do experiments for Origin of Life. And there is some competition for sources. But in the science, you cannot get money if it's not your area. Understand?
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem because if you're a metabolism first scientist, you must do something with metabolism first, not something else, not like RNA peptide or something else, because you are leaving your area. Once you're leaving your area out, your funding is questionable now. And everybody tried to defend his territory. It's like a jungle, you know?
Yeah.
Defend his own territory. That's what happens in fact. So the metabolism first scientists like Nick Lane, they're good scientists. They always will claim how important is the deep hydrothermal vents, how important is to produce metabolics and so on, because they need funding for that to keep the game on. The same is also in Harvard, which is the center of RNA world. For example, the famous Jacques Zostek, which he's a very big guy in the area, he continued to do experiments for proving 4-nucleotide non-enzymatic replication almost several years, and he's publishing lots of papers dedicated to those kinds of experiments. But those experiments are justified only based on the RNA world hypothesis. So, I mean, he even to sneeze, they will give him money. So that's how big he is. So that was the political part of the problem, and we have unfortunately to know that. So, but straightforward, so the science for origin of life, it's about science of how information-dependent selection, Darwinian evolution started. I'm calling this organism Terra Darwinia, but that's what it is.
And it also makes you wonder in that case as well if there is some kind of perhaps new theory or intermediate theory that can accommodate both the good aspects of metabolism first and say RNA metabolism world and RNA world, for instance.
Well, it depends what is trying to explain. Now, if you have complete explanation of the metabolism without being first, you don't need metabolism first hypothesis.
Right.
My understanding, now I'm talking like a scientist who have his own ideas how things are going. My understanding is that the actual metabolism is a way of independence from the environment. So initially, the very first steps was every source, every component for life, it's given from the environment. Like the building blocks of life, amino acids, short RNAs,
lipid,
energy, all of that was around the very first source. And now, as long as you have Darwinian evolution, you start to upgrade the system. Every time when you make your own building blocks, your own energy, you became more and more independent. Therefore, you became more and more advantages. So you can spread around more. This is my understanding for the metabolism necessity. And of course, it's important. So
I do think in a way that there is a potential link for something like metabolism first and systems that propose something like a genetics first model, in that it's understood from prebiotic chemistry that there's certain compounds that need to be produced in very specific atmospheres and environments. And sometimes the chemical components you need to get all the right things and for a cell to get functioning are very, very diverse. But there's few environments that actually can house that chemical diversity, one of which being hydrothermal vents. And that's why it's so widely studied. But in a way, if you do have some proto-organisms that begins to develop a form, the only way it can begin to evolve is by absorbing resources from its environment and manipulating those resources based upon whatever chemistry it stumbles upon. And the still natural issue, of course, is how do you obtain a system of genetics from that? Or how
Yeah.
does genetics become coupled with the system of, metabolism? Because yes, you can have metabolic processes that are capable of producing nucleotide-like species, but you're going to have quite a lot of them. So what basis is there for selection of a particular set of canonical nucleotides over another set of canonical nucleotides?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I'm trying to explain, that yes, you might have a specific chemical reactions which resemble the current biochemistry, for example. That's fine. However, you cannot do anything more if you don't have information and structure behind the function. So if you don't have information dependent selection, it doesn't matter what you have around. It doesn't matter. You will have nothing, because everything that is assembled will disassembled again. Everything that is assembled next time will assemble with absolutely the same probability as the first time. However, at the moment, once you have uh, information dependent selection, now you increase the chance to have more complicated and more adaptive forms. And this is the tricky moment, because yes, you can have metabolism first around, but that will not do anything more than just having accessible building blocks. But that will stay forever if you don't have information. So
Right.
it's until you don't have information and selection, there is no even point to talk for life. Thank you, Lupus.
I like Lupus. Do you like Lupus?
Yeah, he's my guy.
Yep.
We exchanged a few emails with him, actually.
Yep.
Has he given any thoughts on your model so far?
He has lots of paper.
So he is the guy which actually very clearly shows the very how should look like the very primitive motifs of the proteins.
Yeah. He's got a lot of papers. Holy shit.
Yeah. And the entire idea for the evolution of proteins from the very small motifs going toward the bigger motifs, diversity of the different motifs. That's why he's talking about this primitive, very simple, a few simple motifs which actually rise to almost everything else after that.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting stuff.
So, Immutable, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
So, about metabolism first. I don't mind metabolism first as a kind of entrance, of a situation where it's created an environment until the moment you don't have information. So you cannot create information anything else than something that it's RNA or RNA-like maybe, but that's it. So
Right. I was also asking about if Lupa has given any criticisms of your paper or general thoughts of your work.
I mean, if someone wants to just see my papers, I will recommend a specific sequence of reading these papers. I would start first with the last paper, actually, which is the more philosophical and theoretical. After that, I will go to the first paper, which is the actual hypothesis, and after that, the second paper, which is the origin of genetic code. Actually, I'm describing how the genetic code came to be in the second paper. Yeah. It's also another thing that you should know about the hypothesis for origin of life. The value of hypothesis is how explainable, how many things you can explain with this hypothesis.
Right. It's the ability of a hypothesis to account for the current body of data that's
Exactly. Exactly. And how many correlations you can find, significant correlations with the observations. If you observe something, you have to explain it by your hypothesis.
Right.
And what is interesting for this hypothesis that I gave, published in 2018, if you look this hypothesis is agree with any other hypothesis and the same time is disagree with any other hypothesis. Meaning, this hypothesis says something like that. Every hypothesis has something correct, but as a whole, it's not. According to, from the perspective of my hypothesis, every other hypothesis has something right, but not everything.
Is Leo listening to praise?
Yeah, he is. I can hear the stream.
Oh, what, you guys can?
I hear Gavin and I hear praise. I can recognize her voice even at a very low volume.
That is really weird. I don't know how.
Oh, they have such typical voices that.
Something called hearing. Something our intelligent designer gave us.
Yes, exactly.
That's not what I meant. I meant, like, I don't know how, because it's coming in here, but all the sound for you guys is coming through here. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's about origin of life. Although we don't know exactly the conditions, we don't know a lot. Almighty experiment is coming. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, there are some papers. I mentioned Stephen Benner earlier. He recently demonstrated that you can have 6 to 8 system nucleotides work, which is quite interesting. It definitely has quite an exponential, larger amount of chemical diversity. But it is kind of curious to think about why life chose to settle on 4 nucleotides as opposed to any other number.
Yeah, it's all that was needed.
So if you follow the RNA world hypothesis, in order RNA world hypothesis actually to be valid, you have to show how you have non-enzymatic 4 nucleotide high fidelity replication. So if there is no such a thing as a non-enzymatic 4 nucleotide high fidelity replication, you cannot generate self-replication ribozyme. Cannot occur. So I personally, I think everything is a dead end. This is a not correct way of thinking. Because you don't need, when you have RNA peptide system, you don't need 4 nucleotides high fidelity replication system. And you don't need self-replication at all in terms of ribozyme self-replication. So suddenly, just because you have peptide RNA interaction, suddenly all of the complications of RNA world just fall down. You don't need them.
So Snake, you haven't said much. Are you still with us?
I'm a snag.
Yeah, I'm here.
I thought Snake was really into abio. I mean, I think you did a video on it a while ago, didn't you? Like a few months ago or so.
Oh, you did
Yeah,
one
and I've
on
done a few debates on it too.
yeah, you did one on life and intelligent design, which about four
Sneaky
months
little
ago. So
snake.
I posted your channel in chat. So.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I don't think you really need to stick to a particular. Well, we think this one was first. Like you can. I just go with the. Well, this is what we've demonstrated in the lab so far. I'm not because creationists will try to like pin you on. Oh, well, you believe RNA first. Well, there's some problems in that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not really the point.
I think it was a puddle of mud first. So
There's probably a lot of it all around the same time and had to come together.
Yeah.
You guys can't hear that, can you?
Yeah, we can hear that.
Seriously? So
yeah,
who's talking?
seriously. We'll just fucking.
What are they talking about over there?
Oh,
No, I'm
Jungle
at-
Jargon's talking.
Yeah,
Jungle-
yeah, it's on Nephilim Free Stream now. How
Oh,
is
yeah.
it picking that the fuck up? I don't. How?
Well, it's just that we're super sensitive to creationists. We
No,
can hear
shut
them
the
from
fuck
like
up.
10 miles
Such a
away.
douche.
We're like fucking dogs when it comes to creationists. We can hear them like if they're in the next state. We could probably hear it. Like I can hear it in your backyard because you are literally in the next state. Literally in the next state.
So, Mike, you have a specific sensor. It's called creationist sensor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We're evolving it.
You have additional pathway.
I do.
Yeah.
It's that mTOR pathway. It's been commandeered to.
Yeah.
Thanks, that's creation.
It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking for mTOR, the actual mTOR is very weird. You can delete mTOR and nothing will happen.
Really?
Yeah. After, for example, once you mature, once you pass the teenager age,
Right.
you don't need mTOR.
And then, does it have any effect on cancer?
Not mTOR.
Okay.
Not just the mTOR. I mean,
Yeah.
the other, yes, but not just mTOR. For
Yeah.
example, has been proven by rapamycin. You know what is rapamycin, right?
Yeah. The mammalian target of rapamycin is the name of the thing. So
They've been feeding mice with rapamycin during all their life to block mTOR.
yeah.
And what happens after that? So they just live longer.
Well, wouldn't you have less cell growth to replace like tissue damage and things like that, or?
No, there are lots of redundancy in the
Okay, there's redundant pathways, huh?
Yeah. So, but they feel better actually.
That's why mTOR is absolutely proof of bad design. I think.
So mTOR is important for the development,
Yeah.
the early stages, but not later.
Yeah,
The same is true for the famous MIC. Actually, you can delete MIC and nothing specific will happen.
Which one?
MIC, oncogene, the oncogene MIC.
How do you spell it?
MYC.
MYC. Okay.
MYC. So this is the very famous oncogene. If it's overexpressed, now you have cancer.
Yeah.
But if you delete it, the mice actually are happier. So details. Okay, guys. Any other discussions about origin of life?
Do you know how
Yes.
to delete? Okay,
How did it
hang on.
happen? Exactly, 100% the right way. How did it happen? 'Cause
Oh
if you
my
can't
time.
tell me, then it was God. Because if you can't tell me, it was God.
What I want to know is how to delete the gene that makes me care about whether or not I'm happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Demeter, thanks for stopping in.
Okay.
No,
so,
hold on, speed.
Tomorrow I will be around as well.
Okay, we'll probably do something tomorrow.
I probably will be brave enough to face Otangelo if he is willing to come to me. But
If he begs.
yeah.
And pleading cry.
For the next week, I'm going to be busy putting together the consciousness stuff. I really can't we try to get James to do it on MDD?
You'd have to email Praise and see if Praise would be able to get, or Guts at Gibbon here, Erica in the chat, and be like,
Well, I can,
and have her get a hold of him and say that we're looking to have a debate on his channel. It's set up for SFTs right now, but if James would be willing to host it, that would be great.
Yeah, if Erica's still around, I could email James, but he has so many emails he doesn't see it. He eventually gets back to me, but it takes him forever. God, I don't want to do anything on SFT's channel.
I also want to say, Speed, really quickly, with regard to the comment you made earlier, speed of sound of gravity suffers from a slight disorder. It's called being a cynical asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen Cynical Asshole?
What? What are you referring to?
Trust me, I know
gene for
from New Jersey, you've
happiness.
seen Cynical Assholes. Those people will rip you a new one.
I know I'm an asshole.
I do.
I don't know about cynical. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, guys, I'm leaving.
Good night.
Take it easy, Demeter.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
You know,
really do
Speed,
like it when he
don't know if
comes
I've ever met an asshole that's like not cynical. I don't think I've ever met like an optimistic asshole.
I'm an optimistic asshole. I'm always
Like,
optimistic.
fuck you, boy. You know what? Have a good day, man. You know, this
I'm
world's
always
gonna get better.
You know, well, it's just that. Well, hanging around with you young kids kind of makes me lose hope.
What?
I'm not being cynical, but
No.
you guys just make me lose fucking hope in humanity, man. And just
Why? My
young-
science major like makes you lose hope.
Oh well, we won't get into it.
Come on.
I won't take your inventory. I'm not going to take your inventory publicly or privately.
I'm
Anyway.
trolling fucking
You should be
Praise's
worried about
chat
these
right
fucking
now.
boomers like Otangelo.
Worry about what? Boomers? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we're fucking taking over.
Well, you guys be on the way to on your way to the final train. So
Yeah, the state of Minnesota informed me that I'm going to be very broke at the end of December. They cut my unemployment and basically they're cutting it off. They can't afford it anymore. So, they can't afford unemployment until we get that stimulus package. So I'm going to be really fucking like buying less books is what I'm going to be doing.
or eat some pretty non-fancy food.
Eat some pretty non-fancy food. No more Joe Sensor's gigantic burgers, and no more shrimp, no more crab legs. What the fuck am I going to do without crab legs?
You'll have to settle for like meatloaf and like poor people shit.
Meatloaf? What is? Oh my god, that sounds horrible. That sounds like a cake you make with meat. Oh no! God forbid that. Is that what they eat in trailers? Those trailers?
I can still hear Praise's stream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can too.
I'm trolling in the side chat right now.
Yeah, what do we
And I
just?
I had to hear what he said.
Hey, that's Gavin.
What was that,
That's
Neff?
Gavin.
He was just like, come in the room.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
come on, Leo.
I might go in just to troll because sometimes
Yeah.
it's just fun. I like prodding Gavin. He's such a dumb
I think
fuck. I mean, he
Gavin's
just is.
Special child.
I think we have,
just a professional dumb shit.
We're down to 6 people watching us, so I think we can probably
I think
terminate
you're getting
this.
bored with us. What do you think?
Yeah, we can terminate this. We were up to 15 or 16 one time. I don't know.
I still get more viewers than Speed. I shouldn't say shit.
Oh,
like
fuck you. How many subs do you have?
191.
God damn you! You're just 4 under me all the time.
Yeah,
staying 4
perpetually.
ahead.
It's a new constant of the universe.
Yeah, new constant of the universe. Obviously,
finely tuned.
That
Finely
was by
tuned.
design. That was finally, fine tuning.
Every time Otangelo, there's a couple others to go into like fine tuning, like with the charges of fundamental interactions.
Yeah.
This is the one question that I want to ask Otangelo, and I don't know how well I could answer it, but I want to know if he can answer it better than I could, and that is, do you know what gauge theory is?
I don't.
It would
I've
not
heard
be
of
hard
that.
for you to understand that, Immutable. It's essentially a mathematical formalism in which the Lagrangian, which describes the state of a physical system, it stays the same. It's invariant under transformations of certain matrix groups. So under those transformations, the Lagrangian remains invariant, and you get from that a gauge invariance, which gives obviously rise to a symmetry. There is not a constant, quantity associated with that symmetry according to Noether's theorem, and those are generally what we would call the charges of the theories, like electric charge or color charge.
I'm a little too tired to understand that right now, but it sounds.
It's
It
simple.
doesn't
I know
sound
you understood
interesting
that.
as good as other things.
But yes, because anybody who knows that knows why we get why we get charges out of for forces and things like that. So the thing
Charge
that I will
is such
say,
a weird thing.
oh, it is. Yeah, it just is.
It bothers me.
The thing with fine tuning is people who actually understand the math, just straightforwardly, understand that fine tuning isn't really much of an issue to begin with.
Yeah, because everything kind of depends on everything else, right?
Exactly.
And like the fact that we're here indicates that whatever had to work out obviously fucking worked out. I mean, it's just a brute fact that we're here, and it's like if any of those things were like different, we wouldn't be here. So I mean, we wouldn't be commenting on it. So I mean, if we're going to be somewhere, here is where we're going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's the whole, like, in my debate with Otangelo, that was the ocean designed for fish, or did fish evolve to survive in the ocean?
Yes. Anyway, guys, I think I need to go eat some stuff and go watch. There's a new series on Showtime with Bryan Cranston called, what is it called?
What is it called, Speed?
I forgot what it's called. It's something about justice, but it's really good. What's it called? I don't know. It's called something. I always forget those things. Details, but it looks pretty cool.
I think I might go into Praise's stream and see how long I can last.
I'm sure you will. And
I'll pull a respectful troll.
I want to know how many times you get muted.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm purposefully going to be... And I don't know if you guys have seen it, where I'm actually really quiet and I just like ask really, really quick questions that dig right into somebody's knowledge of something or into their worldview. Well, we'll see if they can answer them.
Called Your Honor. Bryan Cranston's new series, 1 episode out.
Oh.
Anyway, I gotta go.
Oh shit, we've been only going for almost 3 hours. We got another like 3 in us.
I'm gone.
God,
Come on,
guys
Speed. We got to at
are
some point
such
be able to
baby
handle a
streamers.
Maddox level stream where it's like 9 hours.
A Maddox level stream?
You mean okay?
That's
I
who I
should
was thinking
endeavor.
of, but
I should endeavor to be like Maddox and Praise. I'll work on that. I'll get my head right eventually. I'll be more like that.
Remember, Speed, the key to all of this is to host excessive 9-hour streams,
Yeah.
to
say
piss
that.
off an internet celebrity, and then to, claim that you can fly him out to, like, to Denver. And
he does the same with Dr. Dan.
yeah, and when, you're about to debate this person, also create a GoFundMe saying that, you can't really afford to take a few days off work because, you're so rich that you need to take time to be able to,
Right, yeah.
to actually prepare for this debate.
Hashtag John Maddox is a grifter.
When Maddox offered to fly me out to Nashville and put me up in a hotel, I started thinking about like what would this hotel look like. It's really a frightening thought.
I just heard Lena Powell's voice for the first time, and she is foreign.
Yeah,
I kind of digged it.
Yeah, I had Lena in for a while.
Oh, you did?
John
You're gonna have to
Anthony.
link that to me.
John Anthony just arrived very late.
Of course, as always. I'm surprised we haven't seen Otangelo. Odie. Good old Odie.
Where is Odie?
We got to start calling him Odie, guys. Odie.
Yeah, kitty. Come on.
Kitty.
That describes Maddox pretty well.
Do a 9-hour
Pussy!
stream.
Oh no! The Tom and Jerry, the Mouseketeers episode. Pussy, 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 pussy.
I don't know if I saw that one.
You know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Really,
Pussy,
Tom and
pussy,
Jerry?
pussy, pussy. Yeah. Well, he was talking about the pussycat, and he's with the little gray mouse. When he's got the French accent, he's like pussy, 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 pussy,
I
looking
haven't
for
seen
fucking
it.
Tom.
God, I haven't seen one of those for years. Those were wrong when I was a little kid.
I feel like I
You
vaguely
think that
remember
show was wrong? What was that, Snake?
I feel like I vaguely remember like a scene like that.
Yeah, it was the Mouseketeers episode where they're Tom and then that little gray mouse are musketeers.
Touche
in France.
Pussycat?
I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah, that's
Touche.
the episode.
Huh.
Yeah, it's on
Just type
YouTube.
in like pussy, pussy, pussy.
I
Tom and
got
Jerry
it.
on
I got it.
YouTube.
I do
Yeah,
every night.
Make sure
Yeah.
you have it on YouTube, not on Google search.
I'm
You know,
really
just-
surprised that it didn't come up with fucking Pornhub or something when I typed in Tom and Jerry pussy pussy. But it didn't.
Well,
sure-
luckily
I'm
you're
sure
not
it
on Google because you will find some weird shit on Google.
Oh, I can't wait to join Praise's stream. Oh, fuck, this is gonna be... I encourage everybody here to just come and watch, because I'm gonna slaughter them in the kindest and most succinct way I can.
I will be the Gandhi of science.
Yeah, I'm
I'm sorry,
imagining
what,
that. I was imagining the Bates Motel when John offered to put me up in Nashville, so I could debate his professors.
John
should've
doesn't have a
taken him up
degree in
on-
anything, does he?
Huh?
Well, in being a dumbass, so there's at least
Well,
one.
Him and I were supposed to make a presentation in front of some professors that he was gonna. It's like, and he said he was at a university and he stopped in and he talked to some astrophysicists professors. I'm thinking, what the fuck did they think of him?
With John?
Yeah, I'm
with
sure
John,
they're
are you gonna say,
creationists.
with John, are you gonna just say where at? What were their names? Like I
Yeah,
did that to him
yeah.
in Praise's stream, and he fucking raged because I was
Oh,
pressing him on
yeah.
a source.
Yeah.
He literally just pulls shit out his ass.
Yeah, he did.
He got pissed that you asked him who you talked to at a university.
Yep.
Well, no. He said, fuck, what was it? He said I think he was mentioning something about COVID. Yeah, he said there are doctors out there that are saying, I'm like, which doctors? Where are their papers? Can you send me their papers? And he's like, dude, it's like 2 a.m. where I'm like, so you're making the claim you should have the
Yeah.
papers on hand, right? Or you should be able to find them with a 2-minute Google search. So show me the papers. And then he just freaked
John, I
out,
will
like, oh,
say right
I'm
now-
too tired, yada yada yada.
I will say right now, John, if you have that type of woman, yeah, God bless you. That's very forgiving.
What the hell? Erica just tweeted something.
Did she?
Yeah.
It's
Does that
now-
girl's? Does that girl?
Well,
sleep?
anyway, I'm gonna take off and hop in Praise's stream and see how long I last, just for shits and gigs.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that later.
All right.
I'm gonna go watch
Peace
Your
out,
Honor right
everybody.
now. Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye, people.
I'm taking off too, I think. So, Snake, hope you come back.
Yeah, thanks for having me in.
Yep. I will put you on my invite list. Okay.
Sorry I was late. I guess I assumed your time zone was my time zone. So
CST?
Yeah, he's in Speed's in the autistic time zone of Central Time Zone.
I'm in the center of the fucking universe time zone.
No, you're not.
CST, that's why I call it Central. It's the center of the
No,
fucking... No, it is the only time zone.
No, we have Eastern Time Zone as well.
I don't believe in Eastern or Mountain. I'm sorry. I don't believe in God, and I don't believe in that other shit you're telling me about.
time works different up here in the mountains.
Yeah. And Ian Chen, I mean, Jesus Christ, don't get me started on his fucking time zone.
What does he use? Like GMT, Greenwich?
It's like Monday where he is or something. I don't know. What the hell?
It's probably 2021 already where fucking Ian is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I believe that shit, man. I'm a skeptic.
It's a conspiracy planned by the Illuminati.
Hey, Supreme Court shot Mr. Trump down and the 17 states.
Imagine, who would have thought that?
I know. Yeah, they write the shortest little briefs to shut them down. I mean, they don't say much. They're like almost embarrassed to be dealing with this crap. But I think Biden won the election. What do you guys think?
I'm pretty confident in that assessment. Are we off air?
No, we aren't. I bet if I asked John Maddox, he would say that Trump won yet. Anyway, we can go off air. So I'm going to go off. Goodbye, everybody in chat. Goodbye, Ian from the future. I believe that shit.
Yeah,
good
there
night,
we go.
guys.
Farewell.
Good night. Say bye.